Quite the weekend for Gamecock baseball. Puts Columbia, South Carolina firmly in that NCAA regional hosting conversation as we kick off another week. Hope your week is off to a good start. We'll do our best to help you this morning here on the early game. Tim Hill, Bill Gunter, Patrick Perrette, and Jen Jensen. Full crew this morning to start your week. Bill, how is yours starting this morning?
We're off to a very nice start. Looks like we're getting to that point. Obviously, doing the show from home is a little bit different, but there's always that point. I think it's about June 20th or 24th where you drive. I drive up Gervais Street, and it's that. What is it? It's the peak of early morning where you drive up Gervais Street at 5:50, 5:45, and the sun is coming up at that point. And it's all kind of downhill. It starts getting a little bit darker each morning after that. But yeah, the sun's at least it's already light outside, and looks like we're going to have a nice week coming off of a very big weekend for South Carolina baseball. The NBA wrapped up. Patrick, I thought of you yesterday. Looked like a big day. Or I thought of you this weekend. Big weekend of lacrosse for you.
Yep.
So it was pretty nice little weekend. Even got into a little bit of NASCAR yesterday and checked out the race. Looked like I was going to be able to pull that off, but I think Kerry Tharp was able to get a few points on me there and finish, I think, second. Just one. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Get 1 point on me yesterday. So good little sports day yesterday to close out the weekend.
How'd you guys notice that? I thought Bill was going to bust out like the summer solstice or the vernal equinox, and then he decided to go non scientific term, I think, on the daylight. Yeah. Open up the blinds right beside him. We got a little daybreak there. Yeah, it is a different feel this time of year for sure. And unfortunately for Gamecock baseball, it was feeling like this season was heading the wrong direction real quick. And then after our show on Friday, the list comes out of 20 potential sites of the 16. So 20 finalists for the 16 sites for the NCAA tournament. Columbia is there. South Carolina is there. This weekend, though, at Kentucky has been a place that's been very difficult to win. We went back through the record books on Friday during the show. 2009 had been the last time the Gamecocks had won a series. And now, for the first time since 2002, Gamecock baseball has swept Kentucky in Lexington. And the headline for me, guys, the offense was obviously tremendous. Scored, 32 runs, I think, something like that combined. Really impressive. But when you had Brett Carey in the middle of the series, the former closer, starting for the first time this year and throwing the Gamecocks' first shutout, complete game shutouts in 2014, that's what really stood out to me this weekend, along with the lineup kind of 1 through 9 hitting the way that Gamecock fans love to see Carolina baseball hit, especially this time of year, knowing what's at stake, though.
Yeah, it's very strange because Patrick and I talked about it last Monday, I believe. We talked about it last Friday and Monday on Heath's show, and it was a lot of, you kind of know what you are at this point in the season. This is a team that's got very good pitching, but below average hitting, or at least in SEC play, and then all of a sudden this weekend they come out of nowhere and they're scoring runs left and right. Looks like, Bronx Bombers out there just having a good time, putting up 9 runs, and what was it, 11 yesterday, I think is what it was. And I think they put up another 9 spot on Saturday. I mean, where did that – it's kind of one of those, where did that come from? And you hope that maybe that's something that they can continue as they go into Appalachian State on Tuesday night. And then obviously what will be a huge series. It should be a fun series at Founders Park this weekend, starting Thursday night against Tennessee. So that is the way you want to close, especially after losing the last 4 series. Is that right? Am I right on that? Arkansas.
So they had one. They lost the first one, right? Then won 4 in a row. Then had dropped the last 3.
3. Thank you. Yeah, that was quick math, but yeah, that's the way you wanted to do it, man. And good for them. We'll see again if it's a 1 week thing or if that's momentum that'll carry over into the Appalachian State game again Tuesday night, and then into next weekend when you get what I believe will be a top 5 Tennessee team rolling into town.
A combined 32-12 by my math, the score over the weekend in Kentucky. 12-6 in the series opener. And when you open a series, the first two pitches are base hits. You know it's going to be a good weekend. And that was a great sign for Gamecock baseball. But 12-6 in that SEC opener, the series opener that Brandon Jordan started, and the first series opening win since the Florida series, so just the second SEC opener that Carolina won. Then the 9-0 shutout on Saturday, 11-6 yesterday, the final score. Andrew Eister leading the way from the offensive perspective, 8 for 12 with 9 RBI on the weekend. The grand slam on Saturday, and the Carolina bats overall hitting .304 on the weekend, 10 extra base hits, and Kentucky hitting just .218. Some of the numbers, with Carolina still sitting in 7th overall. They do clinch a spot in the SEC tournament. The last 2 teams in the conference won't make it to Hoover again this year. Just 12 teams making that SEC baseball tournament. I think really putting themselves in solid position. Arkansas taking 2 out of 3 from Tennessee in a heated series over the weekend. So Tennessee was at home for that thing. It was sold out. It was top 5 teams in the country battling it out. And afterwards, the former assistant coach for Dave Van Horn, Vitello there, Tony Vitello, the head coach of Tennessee, get into it a little bit after Tennessee had a walk-off home run to win it in the Saturday game, and let Arkansas know about it, I think. And then after this game, Van Horn kind of expressing some thoughts to his former assistant coach that weren't met necessarily kindly. So that was an intense series. And now Tennessee will come to Columbia to finish out the regular season, and the Gamecocks with the opportunity. Another big series like they just had. And like we said, going into the weekend, absolutely they had the chance to host, but also going into the weekend, they had a chance to maybe play themselves out of the NCAA tournament at all. That's just how small the margin for error was. Patrick, I know baseball wasn't on the forefront of your mind this weekend. What did you just retweet there? Loyola with a dramatic NCAA first round win against Denver in the playoffs. Is that that
super
had most of your attention? 8 games you said you watched this weekend?
Yeah, they do 8 national seeds, so it's a 16-team playoff, and most of them were not great games, as is usually the case, because like the smaller conferences match up against like the number 1 seed. But that was the last game of the weekend, and they saved it for last because they knew it'd be the best game, and it was phenomenal. Yeah, it came down to the last second, and Loyola's goalie with a stop on the doorstep with a ridiculous save to win it. It was a super exciting game. By far the best game of the weekend.
Okay.
Yeah, and 3 of the 4 games went to, 3 of the 4 playoff games on Saturday and Sunday went to overtime. It was awesome. And then the last game last night, Tampa Bay and Florida, was about to go to overtime, and then Braden Point scored with 1:20 left. So we were a minute away, basically, from 4-for-4 overtime games. It was pretty electric hockey all weekend.
Bill, did you get into the hockey playoffs? I know you say you love them, but it is as early as it could be this weekend.
No, I didn't. Saturday, I'm sure people want to hear all about that weekend, but Saturday we went all the way up the lake. I took the kids. I made them get out of the house. Got to get away from the PlayStation, get out of their rooms, and figure out what it's like to be outdoors. So we got on the boat and went all the way up the lake to where my dad lives, which was basically going from here in Lexington all the way up to Prosperity. So we were out. I was out pretty much all day doing that. And then yesterday, sat outside with the neighbors. We had the baseball game on, the Carolina Kentucky game, and then I got into that race. I got into it a little bit there at Dover and had that on television, and then grilled last night. So that was actually kind of a weekend where I did not crush the sports as I normally do. I didn't even tune into the Preakness. The cheating scandal in horse racing has completely turned me off. And as Patrick said, these doping horses, couldn't even get into it, Tim. Couldn't even find the energy to get into it. So no, it was actually one of those things where I'll start probably tonight to get invested in playoff professional sports, because you got the NBA coming down the pipe, you got hockey starting up, a little bit of Major League Baseball, obviously regular season, and then we're heading toward SEC tournaments or ACC baseball tournaments. So a lot of postseason play coming up.
So also with everything we've mentioned so far this morning, with Gamecock baseball leading the way, Gamecock football getting a commitment on Friday after our show as well. We had talked about losing a 4-star defensive back in Anthony Rose, I think, last week, and now adding a 3-star corner in Kwan Banks from down in Tallahassee, actually. Bill, what do you make of Torian Gray kind of losing one last week and then adding another one right back?
Yeah, I mean, again, I think it's interesting because it's a new staff not being able to get kids on campus. This kid, Kwan Banks, has, what he said, has never been to the University of South Carolina. Everything's been virtual. So I think, I go back to that stat that I gave y'all last Friday, I believe, or maybe it was a week ago. I can't remember exactly when I gave it to you, that through the first 10 days of May, there had been something like 27 or 28 commitments compared to 130 last year at this time. And so you've got kids who I think are being more patient, knowing that official visits are coming, that they'll be able to get on the road and travel and see schools, or really get out and interact with coaches and see schools, as opposed to the self-guided tours that a kid like Braden Davis went on. So, when you get those kind of commitments, Kajon Davis, you just wonder, okay, that's awesome. That's neat. Is it going to stick? I feel like that's the Tim Hill way of doing it, because, he's never been to Columbia, South Carolina. This is based entirely on Zoom video tours and your relationship with the head football, or with the coach, with your position coach, in this case, Torian Gray. So, what does it mean? I don't know. It's May. Today's May 17th. So you still got roughly 7 months, I would guess. About the 17th of December, I believe, is when signing day, the early signing period will be. So that's about what I get out of it. Is that's awesome, but let's see what he thinks when he visits and then checks out maybe a few other schools or whatever he elects to do. I know he by the way says he's going to take one official visit and be done, but again, let's just see what happens.
Well, also, I guess Shane Beamer had tweeted out that welcome home that he puts out when guys are committed to the program, but he had done it a week before Saturday, and then Banks putting out the news this Saturday. Just some interesting details, part of the latest Gamecock commit. What about the idea, Bill, of getting that number kind of right back, just from any kind of momentum standpoint or public perception standpoint, for Shane Beamer and company? Had 4 guys signed up last week, lost one, and then added one back not too long after getting the decommit.
No, I mean, say that again. I apologize. You're asking about Anthony
Rose.
Just the public perception of losing a commitment, getting one right back, any momentum lost or regained in the recruiting game from your perspective.
Yeah, I don't think that's why I asked you to say it again, because I didn't know where you're going with that. I don't think there's none. I think public perception will be formed for a lot of recruiting classes in June. What is that? That's going to be about 2 weeks. 2 weeks from tomorrow, I believe, is going to be June 1st. I think, if I'm thinking correctly, I can't remember exactly when Memorial Day is. But with that being said, I think your public perception of recruiting, again, is going to come when kids are allowed to visit. So I don't think, to me, the month of May, everything is leading up to June when kids can get on the road. And then I think recruiting is going to get very, very interesting, because you go back to something that nobody could do last year, which is have those camps. Clemson excels at that, getting guys on campus and being able to showcase their campus and get kids to visit and interact and all that. Dabo Swinney has done a phenomenal job being able to do that. I'll be interested to see if Shane Beamer is able to build something like that through recruiting. Because, again, everything you're getting right now is either a kid like Braden Davis, the 4-star quarterback commitment, who did a self-guided tour, or you're getting a kid like Kwan Banks who hasn't even been. So I understand what you're asking about recruiting now, or about momentum. I get where you're going with that. But I also don't think it means anything right now. I think the month of June and July, for us recruiting nerds, us, whatever you want to refer to me as, it's going to be wild, Tim. It's going to be nothing but intense day after day after day of just commitments and kids visiting, and it's going to be fun.
Anyone who makes a lot of this is the ultimate recruiting nerd, or just in way too deep. So at the end of the day, you could have looked last week and just been like, oh yeah, 3-star safety from Florida that's never visited South Carolina. You lost one and you gained a new one. So, I mean, you're in exactly the same place. The only difference is about 5 inches and 300 spots in the recruiting rankings. So
yeah,
at the end of the day, not moving the needle.
Chavo hits us up, says public perception is we traded a 4-star DB for a 3-star DB. If you look at the stars, that's exactly what happens on the list. Your line.
On 24/7, they're both 3s.
Okay, there you go. I mentioned going into the weekend that on paper, this was the best chance for Gamecock baseball in an SEC opener that they've in forever, seemingly, with and maybe all season long because of the numbers the Kentucky opener had their first starter, and just from the start, it was going to be Carolina's weekend. And Chavo also quotes us there, weighing in on the YouTube live stream. Kentucky only got to bat the first 2 innings on Sunday without trailing. Every other inning in the weekend, South Carolina had the lead. So the Gamecocks jumped out to a lead early in that Friday game, Saturday as well. And then it took to the 3rd inning on the Sunday game before Carolina had the lead. This was as dominating a weekend as we've seen from Carolina baseball in the SEC on the road. And I can't remember how long. And to do it when they did it, knowing what was on the line here, knowing the lack of success they've had at Kentucky. And nobody's going to come in this morning and tell you that Kentucky is a great college baseball team, but they were they're trying to play themselves into the NCAA tournament. They were certainly in contention going into the weekend, and it's not like they gave the Gamecocks a bunch of runs and kicked the ball all over the field or anything like that. This offense just clearly dominated the Kentucky pitching staff. We'll hear from Carolina hitting coach Stuart Lake coming up in about an hour from now, set to join us, even though those guys are getting back late last night on the bus. See if Stuart will actually get up early this morning and join us, but that is the plan. I'm interested to hear exactly what he saw from his hitters because, Bill, we've seen this team, man, so streaky in a lot of ways, but when they get hot, they really get hot at the plate, and that's exactly what happened this weekend. Just consistently 12 runs in the first game, 9 runs in the second game, then 11 more in yesterday's series finale to complete the sweep.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't really matter about the competition does matter. I shouldn't say that, but just building momentum, man, just trying to get like positive vibes at baseball, especially going into the series. You mentioned Tennessee losing 2 of 3 to Arkansas this weekend. We'll see how that affects them when it comes coming to Columbia this coming weekend, if they're still kind of hung up on that a little bit. But, just seeing the ball hit the bat and putting up a lot of runs, hopefully that's something that propels this team forward into a big series. Again, win by the way tomorrow night. Don't skip the Appalachian State game. Don't show up and lose that one and lose all the momentum. But I do think that this is exactly what this ball club needed. Maybe the Brett Carey move on Saturday is a bit of a shot in the arm, not just for one day, but for the team as a whole. And we'll see if they can again carry it forward. And then, Tim, I think it's interesting. What I do think this weekend did was solidify a spot in the NCAA tournament. I feel like we went into the weekend going, okay, you can't lose that series and run the risk of getting swept against Tennessee or anything. I think this solidified a spot. But how do you play that SEC tournament? Like that's not the big tournament, right? That's not the one that you're out there to try and go and waste arms and get tired or how do you go play that thing? How do you elect to pitch your guys? What do you elect to do when you get to the SEC tournament? Because I'm not sure the SEC tournament means anything in terms of South Carolina being able to get a regional site or you agree with that? Like when you talk about that, I think you got to start to think about that in 2 weeks.
I don't think you got to start thinking about it right now. I think it will be interesting to see how Mark Kingston, Skylar Mead and company handle it, but it's always been an interesting deal, right? I mean, we've seen the best game baseball teams that go on to win national championships, not necessarily doing anything in the SEC tournament, knowing that the larger prize is out there and looming, and you don't want to mess things up going into it. So I'm sure they will have a plan. To me, it's all about Tennessee this weekend, who still is on top of the SEC East standings. They're a half game ahead of Vanderbilt right now. They're 1 game behind Arkansas for the overall SEC lead, and clearly one of the best teams in the country. That program is where it's really never been in my lifetime going into this weekend. And this will be all about, can South Carolina show for the first time really all season long that it can win a series against one of the best teams in the country. We know they're right on the cusp there, but outside of that Florida series, I should say. They showed against Florida, who was not playing its best baseball of the season. It's kind of bounced back since then. They're a couple of games ahead of Carolina in the SEC standings. Sweeping Florida aside, we've seen it time and time again come up just a little bit short for the Gamecocks. And Mark Kingston was talking about it after last weekend series. Just that's the next step the team needs to take to play its best baseball against the best teams in the country. They got another chance to do that at home and a chance to stay at home if you have a good weekend against Tennessee. And it will be really interesting, too, from the NCAA's perspective, because they put – you guys see they had 20 finalists for the 16 spots, 7 of them in the SEC, though. 7 out of 16 would probably be way too many. We'll see how it shakes out next weekend and what the NCAA does on a week from today when they'll announce the I guess it will be 2 weeks from today. We got the conference tournaments and all that stuff going down. I was a little thrown off there, Billy. Physical reaction. What you got? What you watching there in the background?
On the television, a hard pickle seltzer. Doesn't sound good at all. Oh my goodness! Like I'm trying to see what brand that is, but my initial reaction is, that sounds awful.
Patrick, at 25 years old, we use you to get plugged into the kids these days.
I don't think it's a kids thing. People like pickleback shots and all that stuff. I can't eat pickles. I get like shaky. They're so like juicy, and I hate pickles. I can't deal with them. But people like.
I wouldn't. The guy with the nickname Big Carrot. I wouldn't have a bit of a rivalry with the pickle industry. So
that's true. That's true. I mean, I looked over at the television and it's promoting pickle seltzer, and I'm thinking that who in their right mind would drink that? That just sounds awful. So that was an opener for the Monday morning.
This headline says it was inspired by an April Fool's joke.
Okay, that's quite the marketing strategy.
Well, the market had, I guess the slogan is, "This is a really big deal." DILL. Deal. Very, very clever.
It's called Afternoon Dill Light.
Oh.
We're starting off with puns this week. We're going at. Bill is having physical reactions.
Oh, that makes my stomach turn just seeing it on the television.
Only 10,000 packs will be released.
83404-6100 in high demand. Limited quantities only here. It's the early game. It's 107.5 again.
Okay. I got nothing right. Nothing right. I'm going to wake up the kids. Nothing here.
Nobody's got anything? Good.
All right. I'm going to go get that dill pickle stuff out of my mind and wake up the kids.
It's not the most egregious idea. I've heard worse ideas.
Pickle seltzer?
Yeah. What's in a pickle?
It's aggressive.
It's just pickle juice, right?
Yeah, I got a buddy who's into the pickle juice, man. First time I ever saw him bust open a jar of pickles and just drink the juice out of it,
Yeah. I've done that, but I can't eat the pickles.
very concerned. So you can drink the pickle juice?
Yeah, I mean, but it's not like a enjoyment thing. It's really good for cramps.
Right. I know that was his thing.
Yeah. So I used to get back spasms, and I would have to drink pickle juice on the sideline because it just immediately gets rid of it. I don't know what. Is it the salts or something does that?
Right. My worlds combined on that one, man. I actually played pickleball on Friday afternoon. It was a blast. You ever played?
No, I still don't really understand it. It's somewhere between tennis and racquetball.
And it's kind of like the more Tennessee version of table tennis, right? Of ping pong.
But it's on a tennis court.
Yeah, typically.
And then you just use the front four.
But they have specific dimensions, actually, if you really get into it. At tennis courts near my house, they've made a couple of them just pickleball courts.
Oh, yeah, I know. It's like actually growing a lot. A lot of people are playing.
It's a
Did you
blast,
play doubles?
especially for an old guy like me. Yeah, had the brother-in-law's parents were in town, so played with them, my sister, and brother-in-law's good times.
So you guys all just man a box? Is that what it is?
No, you switch a little bit. It's all like doubles in tennis. Just you don't have to run as much.
Yeah, you can't hit it like far over the net, right? You're pretty tight to the net, aren't you?
Yep. But because it's like a wood paddle, you can still take pretty good in a little wiffle ball. You can still take good hacks at it.
But you're not overhand serving, are you?
No, you can't do that.
There was one of the other day when I was in the studio, there was a rain delay on something, and they were playing the pickleball world championships.
Oh,
Doubles pickleball world championships. Yeah, people like it. I mean, some people love pickles.
I was trying to make sure that I wasn't starting something that couldn't be stopped. But Patrick, you can hit that in broadcast button here too, right? On the live stream.
Oh yeah. What's the problem?
I just didn't send Jen the link this morning. I was overthinking it.
Yeah, I know, and I'm not wanted. It's all right. It's the boys' club and all. You know.
Right.
Oh shoot.
So what was your analysis of the NASCAR race? Was it a good one?
I thought it was. Not quite as much, and there were a couple times that I had to tune out of it for a little bit, but I think it was pretty solid overall, and it ended up being a really good race when Elliott did not win. So
He was close though.
yeah, I thought he was starting kind of in the back, and I thought he's having a little trouble, but once that track kind of rubbered in, it worked for him.
He was close. Yeah, I got to admit, I'm really only very, very invested if my guy is within the top 4 or 5 with a chance to win.
Yeah, I figured as much. But I
Yeah.
was glad to see Harvick was starting to kind of get a little bit of his mojo back.
Yeah, he was. It was fun. Like I said, it was nice. It was a nice day. I am my back though from being on the lake on Saturday is lobster red.
That whole sunscreen thing eluded you.
Well, yes. The answer is yes. But I was going up the lake to Prosperity, and I took my shirt off, and I was going about 20 miles an hour, and so the little wind, the little breeze didn't really, and it wasn't hot. The weekend was never what I would say was hot, but that sun was on my back the entire time, and I didn't feel it until I was sitting there Saturday night, and I was like, huh, it really doesn't feel good.
Did not catch that, Travis. Did you guys catch any of the speech for Kobe?
Yeah,
just a
pretty
quick
good.
on Twitter.
I watched a little bit last night.
I also saw a clip of Kim Mulkey's speech. Did you see the 2021 class?
I know it's Weber and
It'll probably make you feel old.
Paul Pierce. Paul Pierce is the other one I saw.
Paul Pierce, Chris Bosch, Chris Weber, and Ben Wallace, and Tony Kukoc.
Ben Wallace?
Yeah, Ben Wallace.
Is Ben Wallace a Hall of Famer?
I mean, he's one of the greatest defenders of this generation. He was like every year he was Defensive Player of the Year.
We do one, Jen.
One, okay.
Straight on.
Okay.
It's gone! Opposite field blast for Josiah Seitler into the Kentucky Bull. Seitler with a 2-run home run to make it a 3-0 game.
They're Eric Scott on the call yesterday right here on 107.5 The Game, the Learfield IMG College broadcast. And that green light he was talking about, 3-0, going the other way. A lot like Andrew Eister's grand slam the day before, an opposite field home run that didn't necessarily look like a home run off the bat and just kept traveling and just had enough. That's the kind of weekend it was for the Gamecocks, Bill, getting the sweep over Kentucky, scoring a bunch of runs, doing it up and down the lineup, and an absolutely dominating weekend when they needed it the most.
Momentum. Yeah, I guess that's what I kept saying in the first segment, and you're right. And as you kind of pointed out, Kentucky's not right now. This was not the same level of competition that South Carolina has faced over the last several weeks with Arkansas, with Mississippi State. But you needed positive vibes. And you know what? I would have told you on Friday when we were doing the show, hey man, if you can just win, 2-0 or 3-2, if you can sweep in that fashion each and win games like that, 3-2, whatever the bats are what they are. But to do it, putting up the amount of runs they did, I'm very interested to see if this carries over. Kentucky's 11-16 in conference play, 27-20 overall. They were a pretty good home team going into the weekend. They were 21-10 prior to the weekend at home, 21-13 now. So, Kentucky's not the worst team in the SEC by any stretch. Texas A&M and Auburn get to hold that distinction, both at 8 and 19 overall in the league. But it's Tim, when you're able to hit the ball like that, it's I think contagious, and hopefully is something that kind of rallies the lineup and they're able to continue. Now they're going to see better pitchers. We all agree with that, right? Like this weekend, Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night, you're going to see a much different baseball team than Kentucky when Tennessee rolls into town. But you hope that that's contagious. It'll be at home, and it'll be the type of momentum thing that carries you through.
Yeah, it's going to be wildly interesting to see because of kind of the ups and downs we've seen this Gamecock baseball program and team go through just this year, how good they can be at times, and then how quiet the bats can be at other times. As loud as we've heard and seen the bats this past weekend with a combined score of 32-12. Just dominating on the road and doing it at a place where, again, the Gamecocks hadn't had a bunch of success. We mentioned it on Friday going in. First series win since 2009 in Lexington, and first series sweep since 2002. And that move the pitching staff made with Brett Carey going on Saturday, you can't give that any credit for the offense for sure, but man, it could not have worked out any better. 94 pitches is all Carey needed in the first complete game shutout for Carolina since 2014 when Will Crow did it. So in a lot of ways, Bill, I don't think you could have asked for a better weekend for Gamecock baseball now heading into the last regular season weekend of the season with Tennessee coming to town.
No, you can't. And we'll see again. Now, you keep it going tomorrow night, Appalachian State. It's a winnable game. It's one of those ones where if you're going to stay in contention, and at least they're in contention, one of 20 sites announced, we'll find out if they can get into that 16. But if you're going to do that, you've got to win Tuesday night and then obviously win the series this weekend.
Amazing how a sweep changes everything. Gene hits us up with on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line, 803-404-6100. He ends it with a Go Cox and an exclamation point. Jim, the Clemson fan over in Carolina Beach, wanted to know the two worst teams in the SEC that won't make it to the SEC tournament. Well, Missouri is down there. Missouri is 7-20. They have the worst record in the SEC. Auburn and Texas A&M just a game better in the conference standings. So it's those three teams playing to avoid those last two spots. They're basically playing for one spot in the SEC tournament, it looks like now. Missouri, Texas A&M, and Auburn at the bottom of the conference standings. It's Tennessee coming into Columbia this weekend on top in the SEC East, but a game behind Arkansas for the overall SEC lead. And they just played a 3-game series, a tightly contested 3-game series. Arkansas winning the rubber match yesterday, 3-2 the final score to take 2 out of 3 in Knoxville. And I saw some video of the two coaches getting into it a little bit, which is really odd, knowing that Tony Vitello there of Tennessee was a former assistant there for Dave Van Horn. And I remember that Chad Holbrook was kind of in the conversation in the Tennessee hiring process when they ended up going with Vitello, who kind of from, I think, a general fan standpoint was a pretty unknown kind of name, getting his first head coaching job, I believe. To see a former assistant get after it with his former head coach. Now you see coaches go at it all the time, especially in SEC baseball, a hotly contested series. But to see it in that way, and I feel like Dave Van Horn is a relatively mild-mannered guy through the years and has had a bunch of success. But that was an interesting end to that series in a lot of ways, and sets things up for just that much more drama as we get towards the postseason here in SEC play. I mentioned it earlier too, Bill. So the Gamecocks stay in 7th right now. They improved to 15-12. They're not going to finish below 500 in conference play in the regular season. And that sets you up really well as far as NCAA tournament projections. The SEC Network Plus broadcast was running it all weekend as it pertained to Kentucky. Historically, when you win a certain amount of games in conference play in the regular season, the percentages getting into the NCAA tournament, and once you get to 14, you have a really good chance to make the NCAA tournament, and that's kind of where Kentucky was trying to get headed into this weekend, just 11-13, a couple of games under 500. Unfortunately for them, now they're in big trouble when it comes to NCAA projections, and the Gamecocks really solidifying themselves. And we'll see if another big weekend will be enough, because the problem is, by my math, that 7 in the SEC made the top 20 list, and you're most likely not going to get 7 out of the 16 NCAA regionals, even if I think those 7 teams deserve it. Will be very interesting for me to see, Bill, how the NCAA tries to set this thing up, because it's a near impossible task with the way that SEC baseball has really dominated college baseball at large this year.
Yeah, I don't think that they'll end up hosting a regional. If you look at it, South Carolina is the 7th of those 7 teams, and if you talk about hosting a regional, then you really kind of break it down a little bit further and talk about hosting a super regional. You got to feel that Arkansas, Mississippi State, and Tennessee are locks, and that's 3 top 8 seeds. Then you go back behind them. Vanderbilt is kind of got to be in the discussion, and then there's your 4, what I would assume is just definite regional host. And then I don't know, it depends if what the committee wants to do. Florida's 17-10 right now, 35-16 overall. Now look, South Carolina's 2 games behind them. South Carolina can change that narrative very, very quickly. They're 1 game behind Mississippi, 16-11. Mississippi's 36-15 overall. So South Carolina does have a sweep over Florida. They were swept by Mississippi. Maybe if you have a big weekend, I don't know who Florida plays this weekend. They, I think, took 2 of 3 from Georgia this past weekend. But maybe if you can catch Florida, you're in the running. But I would assume right now South Carolina's still probably going to be a 2 seed on the road somewhere, just given that it's hard for me to envision 7 SEC teams getting the nod for regional sites. But I could be wrong. Who knows? How they elect to do that. You know, South Carolina definitely, if they can win this series this weekend and finish 17-13, 33-19, or they beat Appalachian State 34-19, it's hard not to say that they don't deserve, given their schedule. They played the 3 toughest teams in the West: Arkansas, Mississippi State, and Mississippi. It would be hard for me not to say that they don't deserve a regional, and that the SEC doesn't deserve 7 regional teams.
Yeah, and Florida has to end at Arkansas, number 1 Arkansas this weekend. So certainly not an easy task there. The head-to-head matchup, just how it works out though geographically. I agree with you how you mentioned 3 teams in the SEC, and I put Vanderbilt right there too. Vandy is a half game behind Tennessee at 17-9 in the conference and 36-12 overall. So I think the top 2 teams in each side, Vandy and Tennessee, and then in the West, you're talking about Arkansas and Mississippi State. I think they're almost locks. And then Ole Miss is not far behind. They're only a game behind Mississippi State in the conference standings. So if you have Vandy and Tennessee, that's 2 in the state of Tennessee regionals. If you do Ole Miss and Mississippi State, obviously 2 in the state of Mississippi regionals. That's 4 already in the SEC. And what else do you do? I think Florida State, took 2 out of 3 against Clemson over the weekend, but I don't think in line to necessarily host like they have been in years past. They're just not quite the same program that they've been in years past. Maybe it helps the Gamecocks that Clemson isn't the program that it has been in years past and not in the running to host this year either. So just from the geographic breakdown, how they try to split these things up, that's going to be really the interesting part to me. And then you have the bracket too. You know, the NCAA tournament tries not to pair too many conference teams in that next round. So it's not too much of an unfair advantage to the College World Series, but you can only do so much. And especially this year when you got now 7 SEC teams in the mix in these last 20 spots for the 16 regional host sites. It's going to be really interesting to see. And I'm wondering how much that this weekend will play into it. I'm wondering if there's a scenario out there where you say, all right, South Carolina sweeps Tennessee. They win their last 6 games in conference play. You kind of got to put them in. If you put them in that list of 20, you got to put them in. And then what would that do? What if they take 2 out of 3 from Tennessee over the weekend? Does that put them right on the borderline? Does that put them in as hosting as well? And then if you don't win the series, is that automatically you kind of shift that thing around? I would love to see kind of the beautiful mind scenarios going on from the NCAA's perspective here, Bill.
Yeah, I'd like to, again, when you talk about geography and making teams travel, 4 teams out west right now are on this list. When you look at Arizona, Oregon, Gonzaga, and Stanford are your 4 west teams out on the, I guess, west coast is what we'd want to say, even though I know Arizona not on the coast. But you got 4 teams there that are out in the west, and then you got 11. I threw Vanderbilt in there just because they're in the Southeastern Conference, but 11 that are in the Southeast. How much travel? Charlotte is another one. I was trying to look real quick and see what the updated RPI here is in baseball. Arkansas is number 1. I was trying to look and just see very quickly where Charlotte. Gonzaga is 17. South Carolina, as of this morning, has moved up a spot to number 11 on that list. East Carolina, who's also a part of this 20-team regional, is number 10. Mississippi is number 12. And for those that care about the RPI, Tennessee is number 9. So South Carolina's right there in line. You'll win 2 or 3 this weekend. Again, win that Appalachian State game. I don't know. You and I and Patrick and Jen, we don't play or coach. We can bypass that Appalachian State game and talk about the Tennessee game. But that team's got to win the Appalachian State game and not drop any spots in the RPI because of that. I was just trying to look and see. Charlotte is 22 on that list there. Stanford is 23. Louisiana Tech, who's also one of the 20 host regional sites, potential sites, is 24 on that list. And Southern Miss is 28 on the list, which I believe is going to be the team that is furthest down the RPI that is being mentioned as one of the sites.
Yeah, and Florida at 20 there, if you're still comparing the Gamecocks and Gators and wondering where those numbers compare this morning. Full college baseball breakdown. We'll get into a weird, sad football story when we come back that happened over the week. It just makes me sad. Maybe some good will end up coming out of it. We'll try to certainly put you in a good mood this morning. Start your week off right. Love to hear from you. 803-404-6100 is the number. You can call or text. It's the early game here on 107.5 The Game.
The home of the Gamecocks and head football coach Shane Beamer, 107.5.
To be a head football coach for the Southeastern Conference, but to be the head coach at the University of South Carolina. Welcome, coach.
That time of year, it's upon us now. Pool season. It is officially off and running. Is your pool good, clean, ready to be used? It better be. Otherwise, you're going to have some very disappointed significant others, maybe some kids that are ready to jump in, but you got pollen, you got leaves, everything in there. Won't make for a lot of fun. Use the professionals. Use a professional to clean your pool. Tracy Corley and Corley Pool Solutions. 803-445-8109. Actually cheaper to use Corley Pool Solutions than it is for you to go to the pool store, get all the necessary chemicals, come back, take the time to clean it. Then you got to make sure everything's right. You hope something doesn't go wrong. Just allow the professionals to do it. Flat rate pricing, including all the chemicals. That's the great deal Corley Pool Solutions offers. 803-445-8109. Again, 803-445-8109. 20-plus years of experience in the business. Don't wait around. Give Tracy Corley a call today. Let him maintain your pool so you can use it this summer so the kids can use it. 803-445-8109. That's Corley Pool Solutions. How you coming? Good? Got a Nutrien bar?
Good jobs. First strike, Jay Thompson went down. Later and Scott played
Do what?
together.
Why does it say that?
I'm not sure.
Johnson
Johnson & Johnson? Yeah, they're vaccine. Looks like everything's doing pretty good. All right, how are we coming? You need to brush your teeth. Shoes look good. Hey, and if you want any fruit over there, you get some fruit. So you should be good to go. Swept the series. Good. They'll go to the playoffs. Yeah, but they got one more series this weekend against Tennessee.
We got the breakdown. Bill getting the kids ready for school.
Online.
You're there at the end.
We're having a conversation right now about the SEC baseball series.
Excellent.
Huh?
That's good prep for school.
Hey, Golden State. Patrick, is Golden State the 8th seed?
Yeah, I think so. Well, they have to play to get the 8th seed.
They got to have a play-in game. It's a play-in game. So.
This is what it says. It says the winner is 8 seed, loser is 9 seed.
Oh, we got about last night. Got it. All right, they're finished getting ready. And you packing? You getting lunch ready? All right, sweetie. Let's go. All right, we'll leave here in just a minute. I got one more segment. Hey, if you want that, there's one of those freezer things in the cold block that's yours. It's pink and the freezer.
Oh man, Jeff, that is amazing.
It's scary the number of people that I have seen that are like that are like, go, and you know all that. Pretty
Take it with you. What are we looking at?
Twitter.
Jen just put something up on Twitter, a video. It is amazing.
Man, that was the most.
Without the beer belly.
Doesn't help the. What'd you say? Okay. Oh, y'all need to get. Now they're having a good time. Back, nothing like being back in the stands.
We gotta tell Todd to stop texting while driving.
He led the FBI.
Yeah. That big Tom receiver. In putting. He led the FBI in putting.
In that putting last year. Todd just really gave us the heads up that Alabama picked up a kicker/punter on Friday.
Oh, when did I miss the UFO thing on 60 Minutes last night? I hate it.
Last night.
Was it last
60
night?
minutes. Sounds like.
I've seen that.
When did I miss that 60 Minutes last night?
When was it last night? Like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock? When did 60 Minutes come on?
Is it like 7?
7?
After your local news, I believe Nance likes to tell.
Yeah, it's probably
CBS.
7 because it's always the 4 p.m. kickoff that pushes 60 Minutes back. On Sundays.
You gotta give
That would explain how I missed it if it wasn't because we grilled steaks I actually did a good job with the marinade. I think one thing I don't ever do a good job of grilling steaks on is allowing the marinade to sit long enough. I'm more of like a put it on for like 20 minutes and be like, oh yeah, that's good.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, Travis, you're right, man. You are in the show.
You get your water bottle?
Travis can now guess the vague teases.
All right, last one. All right, then go brush your teeth, okay? Did you get enough? Is that enough? That Nutrigrain bar? All right, love you.
All right, head back in. Yeah, drop.
Yeah, Chavo, I see what you're doing there. Chavo says, dream scenario this weekend on the YouTube live stream. We sweep Tennessee, talking about Gamecock baseball. Florida loses 2 out of 3 to Arkansas, and somehow Kentucky sweeps Vandy. Boom! We're in first place in the East. Could happen, and it was a pretty much dream weekend for the Gamecocks. Sweeping Kentucky first time since 2002, doing that up in Lexington. And Travis on the Facebook live stream saw where I was going when I mentioned a sad football story. It's about the Austin Peay kid. Do you guys see this, man?
Yeah.
What kind of troll? I mean, we know. We've already had some texts in this morning from the typical trolls that we get all the time. I try to ignore them as best I can. We get them on Twitter. We get them on the text line. But I have never heard of a troll. Someone with an Atlanta area code texted a poor Austin Peay player who's trying to catch on as a free agent and pretended to be the defensive coordinator for the Atlanta Falcons,
45.
extended him a fake invitation to rookie minicamp. Poor guy, Wontarius Bryant, shows up in Atlanta to attend the rookie minicamp, and you're like, what are you doing here, dude?
30.
It wasn't us. You basically got catfished. Brutal. I think all of us made fun of the original catfishing story with Mante Teo back in the day, and that one was as weird as it gets. This one, I just feel so sad for the kid. I almost hope other NFL organizations out there see it like, no, come on.
They should have let him try out when he showed
For
up.
real this time. Hour 2 coming up here on the early.
There.
Patrick, did I hear you said they should have just let him try out?
Yeah, just put him on the field.
That's what I was
Fake
thinking.
it.
Like, just be like, dude, just let him try out. Let him go out there.
Then you
and
do that. But then you do that, and you got these other strugglers that will just make up a pretend catfish scenario to get themselves tryouts, right?
I mean, I want to see the actual text messages. As a Gen Z, you should be pretty aware of how that stuff works. They must have been really good trolls.
I mean, but why would anybody pretend to be the defensive coordinator from Atlanta and say, "Hey, man, we want"?
Was the kid from Atlanta? It was the kid originally from Atlanta.
I don't know.
Good
But
question.
they should have. He probably doesn't even know who the defensive coordinator is clearly. So they probably should have just like thrown a hat, a clipboard on an intern, and been like, "Hey, have him go hit the jugs machine and then run a couple drills, and then just be like, hey, we'll call you if there's any news."
Yeah, he was from Nashville, Tennessee. So now it makes you. Who did he? Like, did he steal somebody's girlfriend in college, and this was their payback? Like, you feel like there's more to this story than.
Yeah.
All right, let me go get these kids to school. Good luck with Stuart Lake. I'll be listening. Don't mess up.
Yep.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Patrick, anything I can tee you up for in hour number 2 here?
No, not really. We can talk about baseball again. I read enough about it. I listened to enough of it. Was
Jim,
the broadcast bad?
Oh, that's a great conversation to have right now. Jen, is Jen still in there? Remind me, Pat, start with the Brett Carey audio in hour number come in. But
from TV or radio?
It's from radio. I didn't see anything wrong with the way that the Kentucky SEC Network Plus guys were talking about the games at all. I don't know what. I guess I just hear it differently, but like I don't take anything personally. I guess a lot of fans do if certain things aren't described the way they want them described. But yeah, I saw that on social media, people complaining about the SEC Network Plus broadcast. My big complaint was the center field camera stunk. It was so zoomed out that the poor guy on the broadcast one time, I think it was a ground rule double from Wes Clark. He's like, "Did that go out? Was that a double?" Poor guy couldn't tell because they're so zoomed out. Like all they had to do is just zoom in a little more, man, so we can see it.
That's not their fault.
Tell me about the homerism there. I didn't think they were homers. I did think they were doing the game from the Kentucky perspective,
But that's what happens when South
same
Carolina
thing, right?
Yeah.
Like they legitimately admitted when guys were safe. What did they get wrong, Chava? I guess that's how a lot of people listen to things too. And
everyone's Have you seen the people that call our games? Tim calls our games on TV. I only saw it. I think I saw like Yuva tweet something about it, but I didn't know if he was just.
Yeah.
I thought he might have been pandering, riling people up on Twitter.
They got riled up. I didn't see that coming.
I haven't listened to a single baseball broadcast all year, so on TV, so I literally just wouldn't know.
So Patrick's always the one pushing the buttons in our studio, so he's always getting the radio call. Okay, interesting, Jeff. I don't have the Longhorn Network, so I did not see those broadcasts.
Actually, no, I did watch one Friday night game. I don't remember who it was against, but the guy was botching it and kept saying that it was Thomas Farr's first start on Friday night.
Yeah, he's not the only. Yeah, that was rough. That was Ben McDonald. Did you just say that?
Sounds right. I didn't know. I can't remember who it was, but I heard him say that like 3 or 4 times. He's like, "That's a good first inning." He didn't look like he had any nerves for someone who's starting his first game. On like, what are you talking about, dude? He said it like so many times. It might have been Arkansas. No, it was longer ago than that. It might have been Arkansas.
It might have been. It might have been LSU. I forget, but I think you're right. I think it was Arkansas or Mississippi State. Yeah, Jay, and that's a tough one, man. When you got the sun involved, whether you call it an error or a hit, and man, if you've watched Jay, and I know you've watched a bunch of Carolina games, if you're going to complain about a home team giving hits to their home batters more often than they should, that has happened a lot of times all over college baseball, man. I've seen it a bunch of times in South Carolina where I go, wow, that's generous. But you can get away with doing that whenever the sun is involved at all. It's the easy kind of cop out for the official score. Oh, the sun was in his eye. But that shows you where another way that the SEC is just a little different. When fan bases get riled up about the opposing broadcasters on the SEC Network Plus broadcast.
Yeah, I mean, I guarantee you all of the other SEC fan bases have said the same thing when the games are at Thunderspark.
I used to feel so bad, Dan, speaking of scoring, when Andrew Kiddick took over for Tom Price and Tom was still at the games and still in the press box. Felt like it was poor Andrew couldn't do anything right. Any time of scoring, they didn't go right. People in the stands just start yelling. Jim would love to start with the carry cut, please.
I'd love $1 million in world peace, but
we'll take what we can get.
Twine in the 1-0. Swung on and tagged to deep left center field. Brady Allen breaking back to the warning track. Reaches up, makes the catch just before he crashes into the wall. And you can put Spurs on this one. Brett Carey, complete game shutout. And the Gamecocks win it over Kentucky to clinch the series. Wow, what a performance.
Derek Scott on the call for the Gamecock Learfield IMG College broadcast right here on 107.5 The Game on Saturday. A weekend sweep at Kentucky for the first time since 2002, and that complete game shutout from Brett Carey, the first time since Will Crow did it back in 2014. A Gamecock pitcher has gone a complete game shutout, and he does it in his first start of the season. Heck of a weekend of Gamecock baseball, no doubt. Getting exactly what they needed and then some. Winning the series hadn't happened since 2009 in Lexington. Sweeping the series hadn't happened since 2002, and the Gamecocks not only do that and get a great performance on the mound from Brett Carey, but it was the bats really that was the most impressive part to me. 32 runs on the weekend, up and down the lineup, hitting more than 300. Andrew Eister leading the way, 8 out of 12 with 9 RBI. And Patrick, this team again, I think that has been the theme for me this year, when it looked like this team was going to kind of wade into the mediocre end of the pool, from being a good college baseball team to they had the chance to be mediocre and really play themselves into trouble. I get it that they were on the list after our show Friday that the NCAA released of 20 host sites, 20 potential host sites for the 16. That'll be the NCAA regionals. But having struggled in SEC play and lost their last 3 series, they were playing themselves into a place that they certainly didn't want to be. And then if you lose at Kentucky, which doesn't have the RPI that a lot of the other SEC schools did, and a Kentucky team that really needed some wins going into this weekend to play themselves just into the NCAA tournament at all, it was a dangerous situation for Gamecock baseball we were talking about on Friday morning. And not only did they stand up and show some mettle and all the coaching intangibles that you want to say, right? Determination, resolve, whatever you want to put on there. But they did it in dominating fashion, man. And Chavo pointed it out. Now we're number 1, Patrick. Kentucky didn't trail all of 2 innings on the weekend on Sunday when it was 0-0 until the Gamecocks take the lead in the 3rd. It was a dominating performance when the team needed it the most.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, you beat a mediocre team. You swept a mediocre team, but that's the thing. You absolutely put a shellacking on them every single night, too. And, I mean, there's a lot of numbers that are really interesting. Like, 15 of 27 innings, you scored a run, which is awesome. But only 4 home runs, which is, I feel like, uncharacteristic of this team. When we were just talking last week, the whole story was about not being able to hit with runners in scoring position. And, only 9 runs. There's a couple 2-run home runs, those solo and then a grand slam. So 9 of your 32 runs came on home runs, when I assume if you look at the splits, it's far more runs have come on home runs for this team than otherwise. So, I mean, they did it every which way. Only one Kentucky pitcher. Kentucky threw like 14 pitchers, and only one of them pitched more than an inning without giving up a run. I mean, it was just complete and utter domination from start to finish. And you'd feel good if it was like a 3-2, 2-0, and a 5-4 game or something like that. But when you put up runs like that, 32 runs in 3 days, and just absolute domination at the plate, you feel really good about that. Now, will it lead into next week? We'll see. It's a different animal next weekend or this weekend. But yeah, the dominating fashion that you put on the field this weekend. I mean, there's nothing but happy vibes right now.
Well, you would think, right? But even seeing social media response, and this is maybe just where Gamecock fans specifically are, because of a tough football season the last couple of years, and basketball not kind of following up on that Final Four success and not making an NCAA tournament since. I've seen Gamecock fans out there who still can't celebrate it, or can only say, yeah, but what about this, and what if it still Guys, South Carolina is in the NCAA tournament, okay? The RPI right now is number 11. There were Columbia, South Carolina, or South Carolina was on the list of those 20 potential NCAA regional host sites because they've earned it this year. Now, Gamecock fans, baseball-wise, have been spoiled. There is no doubt about it. You got to realize that, right? If you're a Carolina fan, you got to realize it was the greatest NCAA tournament run ever. The 22 straight wins from 2002 to 2012, 22 straight NCAA tournament wins is a record. So now you got to realize that level of sustained success was the best ever. You're not going to get that again, most likely. And if you are, it's going to be another record-setting level. But you got to give this team some credit, man. You got to be able to enjoy winning. And I get it. When you don't win, it's very difficult to do because you got Clemson fans maybe across the way saying, yeah, well, we got national championships in football in your program, and it's not the same, right? It might pale in comparison, but don't let them. I get Clemson trolls this morning coming out and saying some bad things maybe about Kentucky or pointing out the flaws in the baseball season for the Gamecocks. But it's the Gamecock fans who are doing that themselves that, oh, man, I a lot like that story we were talking about with the poor Austin Peay kid who got trolled and thought he was going to Atlanta Falcons rookie minicamp, and turned out that it wasn't a real invitation at all. I'm hoping we can help some people get past that this morning, Patrick. Enjoy a really good weekend for what it's worth, and then be able to enjoy what has been a good season for Gamecock baseball. That's been great. I'm not trying to tell you that it's a great season and this is a championship level program again, but it's a lot closer than it has been, and you can enjoy winning. It's okay.
Yeah, if you're upset today for about anything, then you were already going to be upset no matter what happened this weekend. Because I think if you made a checklist of everything that you wanted to see, you would say, first of all, win the series, check. All right, now let's go for the sweep, check. Let's score a bunch of runs, check. Do it in a different way, actually being able to play, I guess you'd call it small ball, a little bit of small ball, and be successful that way, check. Shaking up the pitching lineup, Brett Carey's first start, you hope he looks good. A million times, check. I mean, no walks and a full game and 94 pitches, 10 strikeouts. I mean, it was ridiculous. Everything you could have possibly wanted to see this weekend, you saw. And you didn't have to use up too many arms, so you can be more than healthy for Tennessee next weekend, ready to go. Everybody ready to go. I don't know what more you could have wanted from this weekend, honestly.
Agreed. And maybe it's just one of those things where it's a cautious, try not to let your emotions get too high kind of thing. Tennessee is going to come into Columbia this weekend in the Thursday, Friday, Saturday series that ends the regular season. One of the best teams in the country. And they lost a tough 2 out of 3 series to Arkansas, the number 1 team in the country. And it is not going to be easy, and I get that. But the Gamecocks have already guaranteed themselves they're not going to finish under 500 in SEC play this year. That is quite the accomplishment. If you don't believe that, then just take a peek over to LSU. You talk about a proud program with tons of winning tradition and championships and the whole thing, and they're sitting at, they don't have a chance to finish at 500. They're 11-16 right now in conference play, and a lot of upset LSU fans. And when you have 4 less wins in conference play and you're LSU and you're looking at South Carolina in understanding that the South Carolina team has struggled against some of the best competition in college baseball, maybe that can help you appreciate. I don't know. I don't know what it's going to take maybe for some Gamecock fans to appreciate winning. Maybe it'll be another series. Maybe it'll be hosting an NCAA regional. Maybe some people won't be happy until another national championship comes Carolina's way in baseball with all the College World Series success. I don't know. But I guess I should just kind of expect that for a program that dominated as long as Carolina baseball did, set that NCAA record for NCAA wins back in the day. Maybe it's just a product of human nature, Patrick.
I guess in a way, I mean, you understand it, and it's not, I guess you have the expectation of, you're not supposed to lose to Kentucky, so what am I supposed to be happy about? It's like if you beat Vanderbilt in football, people are just going to say, yeah, well, that's what you're supposed to do. So you're just not going to be happy until you see it against the better team. But you just have to put it in the context of everything else going on right now. You were slumping. You weren't playing well offensively. You needed this momentum. You have a huge series coming up. Like, you needed something to go right. And, I mean, just for the sake of having the opportunity to host and making the postseason to begin with, the sweep was tremendous. So, I mean, in the context of the full season, it's still a big deal. So, I mean, I guess those are the people that would just say, well, my standards are higher, then I'm not going to get worked up about beating Kentucky when Kentucky's not a good team this year. But, I mean, come on. You can't look at it that way. Otherwise, you're just always going to be depressed. If it's championship or bust every single year, well, you're rarely going to be happy.
Well, it looks like Trent has a goal in mind for this year's team, and he says that'll make him happy. Said before the season, I said, Trent, on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line, 803-404-6100, we should be a super regional team with our talent. I'll be happy with a super regional appearance. All right, Sweet 16 in college baseball. I understand that. Day says also the bullpen picked a good series to struggle a little bit. They weren't terrible, but weren't quite as sharp as usual. Fortunately, the offense kept answering every time Kentucky threatened on Friday and Sunday. And yeah, Will Sanders, the former starter who had been moved to the bullpen, also didn't have to do very much. He did come in and kind of close things out yesterday, but they didn't get to him very much. And Day, I think specifically, it was Andrew Peters that was kind of the surprise, didn't look as sharp as he has looked in the past. And Julian Bosnick, I'd say maybe average-ish or so, but obviously things changed up a bit with Brett Carey going in the starting rotation when you didn't have to go to the bullpen because Carey goes a complete game shutout on Saturday. It was pretty much a non-issue, like you mentioned, but Day's right. It's certainly not the bullpen's best weekend, but it didn't matter that much. And the offense really kind of stepping in and making any kind of pitching issues null and void and easy to overlook for sure. We're going to talk to Gamecock hitting coach Stuart Lake coming up in just a few minutes here on the program. Looking forward to what he had to say, maybe some of the technical details that his lineup might have made, if any. You know, a lot of times it's not a technical thing. It's just when you see the first two pitches and you get hits, that can certainly give a bunch of confidence to a lineup. I think we saw that with the Gamecocks and then some. 803-404-6100. Like I mentioned, the number into the program. Tim Hill, Patrick Perrette, Jen Jensen with you right now. Bill Gunter will be back in just a little bit. You're listening to the early game here on 107.5 The Game.
It's basketball coach Dawn Staley, and you're listening to the home of the Gamecocks, WNKT FM, Eastover, Columbia, 107.5 The Game.
From the Shepherd's Glass Traffic Center.
So lacrosse, all blowouts except that one game. Was that an upset?
2 games. Bryan almost beat Virginia. That would have been a massive upset. Loyola, Denver are pretty much like equal teams. Loyola got screwed because they thought their season was over because they had a positive test on their team the day before the conference championship. So they had to forfeit the conference championship game, so they ended up winning the conference, and they weren't sure they were going to get an at-large bid, but they did. They were the last at-large bid.
Is that Loyola down in New Orleans or Loyola in Chicago?
Baltimore.
Oh, not even that one. They're all over the place.
Yeah.
Loyola
Hopkins,
Marymount,
and Towson.
California.
Yeah. Loyola, Hopkins, and Towson are all less than 5 minutes from each other in Baltimore.
Wow. I hear you, Craig. Kiowa this week as well, the PGA.
Tim, did you see the Machado slide?
Did not.
You were very worked up over it. I don't understand why he thought that was going to be okay. I guess I don't really know enough, but he literally just took a dude out. I think it's controversial. If you just type Machado in on Twitter, though, you'll see it immediately.
Doing it right now. But where did this happen at? It looks like almost closer to first base than second, in the middle of the bases, huh?
Yeah, I mean, who slides there?
I gotta see the full play here.
Yeah, because he jumps up and like pats the guy in the back, and like the guy took it well. I would have been very upset.
Well, in his defense, what do you do if you're the runner?
I don't know. Don't you just run?
Well, you're trying to avoid the double play. If you just run, you blow him up.
Can you run into him if he's just in the middle?
No, you're not supposed to. You're supposed to get out of the way.
I don't know.
Yeah, because he slowed down, I don't have a big problem with it. Yeah, it's pretty.
It just doesn't make, like, what are you accomplishing by sliding 5 feet off of first base?
Oh, it's more than 5, right? It's like 20 feet away from the bag.
From second, yeah. But he's like just gotten off of first, basically.
So I think what he was trying to do was avoid getting tagged up top to where then they can throw to first.
So is there the guy at first is just safe in this situation, or do they call something that?
Yeah, guys, safe first.
But if Machado just like barreled over him, would that be like a penalty, and they would call the runner at first out too? Does that ever happen?
Good question. Thinking they could.
So otherwise, what's stopping him from just mowing over that guy other than just getting hit the next time you're at the plate?
Well, you also get kicked out.
Okay. Makes sense.
It's just vicious, right?
Stewart is ready. He sounds very awake.
Awesome.
I turned around, the guys are being escorted off.
So tell him we'll try to go to about 7:30 here, and then we need to take a commercial break. Can you tell him that before we start, Jeff?
Okay. And then you want him after that.
We will not want him after that. No, we'll let him go back to bed.
I got you. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so we'll.
Can you start with a hitting highlight here, Jim?
Is in the Gamecock bullpen, an opposite field grand slam home run for Andrew Eister, and that'll play a few, Derek.
Tommy Moody on the call there, and he called it exactly right. I know it might, if you didn't watch it, you might say, "Oh, come on, Tommy, you got to see that ball going out of there." But it just kept carrying and carrying on the video broadcast on the SEC Network Plus. It sounded very similar, like, "Oh, looks like that ball got out," and you had the bullpen out there in right field and the fence where you can't really tell. It's not like a completely covered fence, so you just kind of squirted in there, and just like that, it was a grand slam, part of a huge weekend for Andrew Eister and Gamecock baseball overall. Eister 8 out of 12, 9 RBI, and of course we got to give Carolina hitting coach Stuart Lake full credit for that, who is gracious enough to join us after the late night bus ride. What time did you guys get in last night to Founders Park there, Stuart?
I think it was about 1:15, 1:30 when we kind of rolled in. Yeah. So, but it's fun. It was kind of gotten a little quiet on the bus towards the end of the ride, but fun ride for most of it on the way back.
Wait a second, Patrick might be on board with this selection. You told me that pitching coach Skylar Meade lobbied for Space Jam to be one of the movies on the way back. Is that correct?
Yeah, our bus. No TV. You know, we take 2 buses now, so we're kind of the Caddyshack bus back there on bus 2. So we had Dodgeball and then Space Jam were our 2 movies for the ride back. So yeah. But that was
everybody's seen
Skyler's
so they can fall
selection.
asleep.
Yeah.
So, if Space Jam is Skylar Mead's go-to, what is your movie go-to on the bus from Stuart Lake?
I'm probably a Happy Gilmore guy.
Okay,
I would say that would be my go-to if I get to pick it out. But we didn't have that one on it. We, didn't bring our CDs with us and stuff, thinking we wouldn't anymore with satellite TV. But that's how it turned out since it didn't work. But we all did. We made our way through, and it really a fun trip, and obviously a successful one. So it doesn't make that too bad of a trip when that happens.
Well, first sweep at Kentucky since 2002. Did you get that one too? You did you?
I did, yeah, I did. I was thinking that someone said that last night. I think Tommy Moody or someone, and that was Kevin Malillo, Landon Powell. All those guys were young back in those days. We went out to Kentucky and swept, and Trey Dyson and all those guys were seniors on that team. So kind of cool to be a part of that. And then 19 years later, I guess do it again. So hopefully we can do it sooner than that in the future.
31-12 by my math. Might have been 32-12. I might be doing that wrong, but I think 32-12 now that I'm thinking about it. What was the difference for your team that they put up the graphic on the broadcast going in? You guys were, I think, last in batting average in just SEC games only. What was the difference from your perspective this weekend for your hitters?
This league is incredibly hard this year pitching wise, and we just, after the Clemson game Tuesday night, just said, let's just go back to the very basics. Our BP rounds were as basic as you can get. Let's hit hard ground balls on drives, and we knew Kentucky had a good pitching staff that were going to really throw a lot of all-speed pitches. So let's try to, really get our front foot down early, recognize those pitches, and let's try to make it tough on them by not chasing balls out of the zone. And you give all your credit to the guys because they're the ones going up there doing it. And once that momentum kind of got started Friday night, it just gives you confidence in yourself as hitters. Coach Kingston had some runners moving a lot. I mean, the 3-0 yesterday with Seidler, we just did some things that maybe we hadn't had an opportunity to do in the last few series. So hopefully we can keep this going now through App State and obviously Tennessee and then the postseason.
2 pitches, 2 hits. Does a team ever have a bad weekend when that happens?
I don't think so. I mean, honestly, it's the third baseman from Kentucky just kind of looked at me and said, man, is this how it's going to be? And I laughed. I said, boy, I sure hope so. And it kind of, we fed off that first inning. There's no doubt. So, I mean, y'all know baseball, you got to have luck too. And I mean, it seems like a lot of times you hit those balls right on the screws and the guy makes a great play. And we've had a ton of those this year. And then you hit a few balls as soft as you can or a squibber that gets through and those start your offense. So that's the way I'm looking at it. And boy, that's a good start to a weekend.
I know you've been a big fan of Andrew Eister and his approach, and several times we've talked this season, and you're like, well, Eister's begging me to go hit again. And it sounds like he is a bit of a workhorse. He leads the way this weekend with 9 RBI, 8 for 12. What did you think of his weekend and his season, I guess, at large? And I think the perception is, I've heard it on a couple of broadcasts from maybe guys not as familiar with Carolina baseball as Gamecock fans are, that this team seems to go how Eister and Brady Allen are going at the time. Do you agree with that perception?
I definitely do. I mean, especially Brady Allen back in that leadoff role just gives us such good at-bats. But, Andrew Eister, I've told him, and I never try to say this is who you're going to be, but he just reminds me so much of a Mike Piazza type hitter that when he believes he can just use right center as his pull side, because everyone wants to pull. He's not a pull hitter. And that's constantly our conversation over 3 years now we've been together. And there's been guys have incredible careers that never worried about pulling the ball. And he has a unique ability to drive that ball to right center as the grand slam and some other big hits of his were this weekend. So there's no doubt no one's going to outwork Andrew. I mean, when we're on the road, they're asking if we can go find the cages to hit. I mean, this group works, and that's why I'm proud that they had the success they did, and that leads us to, man, everything's right in front of us to still host. And that's a huge accomplishment for any team.
No doubt about it. That kind of leads us to Tennessee this weekend. How does the Tennessee pitching staff compare to Kentucky, if at all? And if they don't compare to Kentucky, what is another pitching staff that you guys have faced this season that you might compare Tennessee to?
No, I'm going to be honest. I really hadn't spent that much time on Tennessee. As we were riding back last night, Coach Lee and I were talking about App State. And that's been kind of our thing. And it isn't just coach talk of, let's really focus on that next game. But Tennessee is a team that, they use a lefty in their starting, weekend rotation, which this weekend we're all righties. But they're just a team that's really going to come right at you. A lot of fastballs, just guys that throw strikes, and they're going to pound the zone to make you hit. But in all honesty, that's just me as a baseball guy. I don't ever look ahead of anyone. App State's going to be a really good team coming in here tomorrow night. And right now, every game, the next game is the most important one. So that's kind of been our focus on the way back.
And Patrick, you've seen it. Everybody has seen it from a Gamecock standpoint this year, the way that this team can get hot and the way that it can go the other way. I'm interested, Stuart, in how you see that from the hitting coach perspective, because as you mentioned, a lot of times you can have the same approach. You can hit a ball hard. It just doesn't go your way. But do you see it like we do from the outside, that this team is maybe more to the extremes than a lot of baseball teams have been in the past, especially Carolina teams?
Yeah, I would think so. I mean, we see that too, where it seems like when we get one hit, we get four. If we seldom just score one run, it seems we score multiple in those innings. But it really isn't from a game plan or approach type that happens. It's kind of the momentum of this team. And the cool thing about this team is, as we stressed in the last few days, they're out of school now. And this is a team that loves to work. They love to be at the stadium. And a lot of times when you're still doing your academics, which are important, and handling other stuff, now it's just all baseball. I mean, that's today's their off day. There's already guys, texting going, hey, can we hit? And you have to remind them you can on an off day. I mean, this is really, to me as a baseball player and as a baseball coach, this is the fun time of year that you can keep your momentum more than you can at other times when you have to take days off and then academically guys are getting there later for practice. Because now we're going to be together. We're going to be together as often as we can in these next few days and weeks. And, and I feel we're going to be able to keep the momentum because of that.
So how do you, as a coach at this point, you mentioned everything in front of this team. Clearly, with the challenge, I mentioned earlier that it was a bit of a dangerous situation going to Kentucky, a place where Carolina hadn't had a ton of success recently, hadn't won a series, I think, since 2009, and Kentucky trying to play its way into the NCAA tournament. It's set up on paper as a dangerous type situation where you guys hadn't had the momentum. Clearly, your team responded. Now, as a coach, how do you make sure that they don't press, knowing that hosting is definitely on the line and a very real possibility with another good weekend against Tennessee?
Well, I think the good thing we did, Coach Kingston, right after the game on Tuesday started, we've just been very open here what we got to do. We've got to do this. So we haven't, kind of hidden the corner from what we knew was coming this weekend at Kentucky, nor will we, this week with these 4 games. But I think the biggest thing now is just constantly showing the cool part of winning these games. I talk a lot. I've been lucky here to be a part of a lot of regionals in our home park. And none of the guys on this team have ever got to do that. And that's what I talk about. Not in a sense of what you're going to miss if you don't accomplish this, but man, this is what you can experience if you do accomplish this. So for years, and this whole year to me has been dedicated to Dr. Casper, who was our long-term psychologist, was in our dugout for so many championships. That's what he always taught me. Don't talk about what you're going to miss. Talk about what you can experience and achieve and put it out there very clearly for these guys. And that's what we tried to do, starting with, Coach Kingston. When I get to talk to the hitters individually or Skyler, the pitchers, we're just telling them what's out there for you. Skyler was on that Louisville team that went to Omaha. All of us have been to Omaha to experience it. We want them to. And not so much what you'll miss, but boy, it's right here in front of you what you can experience.
Well, right now you can go back to bed, getting in at 1:15 late last night, getting up early with us. We appreciate it. Carolina hitting coach Stuart Lake, gracious as always. Good luck the rest of the way, and hope to talk to you again soon.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Talk to you soon.
Sounds good. Again, Carolina hitting coach Stuart Lake after a big weekend where his team hits more than 300 and the offense just completely dominating. Carolina leading all but 2 innings. Never trailed in Kentucky. That was the only time Kentucky didn't trail, the first 2 innings of the Sunday game. Impressive stuff for sure. We'll continue to break that down for you. Love to hear your thoughts. 803-404-6100. We need to take a quick break here. Bill Gunter will rejoin the show coming up soon as well. It's the early game here on 107.5 The Game.
107.5 The Game. The game is on. Everywhere. On the air. Online. Everywhere. On your phone or tablet. On the app. Alexa. In the shower with you.
Everywhere seems to be where my 1-year-old is now these days. Man, that guy just doesn't slow down at all. He is everywhere all the time. It's fun. It's tiring, but it also means we got extra messes around my house, especially with a 6 and 8-year-old. Constantly, it seems like spilling stuff. It's especially important that we have some help around our house. Fortunately, Zero Res Carpet and Air Duct Cleaning has been out at my house a couple of times and done a great job cleaning my carpets, cleaned an area rug for me in the living room, also freshened up the tiles in the kitchen and the bathroom, impressed my wife in the process. That's not easy to do. And what really impressed me, though, was having nothing to worry about with the way that Zero Res does things. I don't really know anything about cleaning carpets, but Zero Res does. They know so much that they don't even have to put any harsh chemicals in the process. They crank up the pH in the water. It's a patented powered water system they use. You can find out all the details on ZeroResColumbia.com. Also, I know that it doesn't have any soap in the process, so there's no leftover soapy residue. My carpets have stayed cleaner longer. Yours can as well. Give them a call at 803-262-4020. Well, you'll hear they have a great deal for you right now. 3 rooms of carpet cleaned, only $119 plus a free hallway. When you mention me, Tim Hill, that's ZeroResColumbia.com. 803-262-4020. It's Zero Res. Spell it backwards or forwards. It's the right way to clean.
From the Shepherd's Glass Traffic Center, Shepherd's Glass, a true reflection.
Sorry if I didn't get you in there, Patrick. I wanted to need your space, but
we're good.
You're one of the best at the comfortable silences, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, I know when it's not my lane.
I was going to get into the, I think the belt matches that Stuart, I think, was watching on the way home on his phone. He's a big wrestling guy. But we'll do that another day.
What is Sunday night? Is that a big wrestling night? SmackDown?
He was watching like 1975 belt matches, I think.
Oh, what?
That's what he was telling me or texting me.
So I should lend them my my DVD case for Hoover.
Sounds like it.
That thing has always been a hit on every team I've played on.
I like the Happy Gilmore one. That's a great bus movie. Sure.
Yeah.
Oh, I saw that, Travis. That was tremendous. Was that Blake Griffin started that with a behind the back save?
Yeah, that was ridiculous.
Nuts. It's a good call of it too. I think I retweeted the call that Ian Eagle had.
I think I did too. I might have just liked it.
From Awful Announcing.
I don't know who threw it off the backboard there. That's the one guy I couldn't.
Yeah, I can tell there.
Yeah, it really was a Globetrotter-esque play.
Yes, please. The podcast question there, Jen. Thank you. (24/7). That's where our hot take hotline is for you. Call 803-978-6654. Vent whenever necessary. Whatever's going on, maybe you just saw an amazing finish in NCAA lacrosse between Loyola and Denver, or maybe you just watch Gamecock baseball, or you want to complain about something that happened, which I've seen even after a big weekend sweep. You can do it on the hot take hotline. 978-6654. Again, the number is sponsored by Twin Peaks. For the men who never settle, go see them down in the Vista at 600 Gervais Street. Gamecock baseball sweep at Kentucky. First time since 2002. What we are rehashing there with Stuart Lake. And Patrick, what sits with me after hearing from the Carolina hitting coach is just how thin, again, the margin is. And I think baseball, maybe even more than other sports, exact same approach, but sometimes, man, it's just not there. Now, the thing with this team is that seemingly, the line in baseball is good pitching will beat good hitting most of the time. And I think that has been the case with this team, that it is a good hitting team like we saw over the weekend, not a great hitting team. And when it's come to SEC play, they have struggled relatively consistently, even though they're sitting at 15-12 in conference play. I think from the Gamecock fan perspective, that has seen great teams and seen not only great teams with great hitters, but then something else in that run, that record-setting run back in 2010 to 2012, a team that had chemistry and magic and resolve and the whole thing and came through seemingly every single time. The standard for Gamecock baseball and Gamecock hitters is really, really high. And whenever that isn't met against some of the best teams in the country, some of the best pitching in college baseball, there is frustration. And I get it, but I think the Gamecocks took out some of that frustration on Kentucky over the weekend because they're not the best, some of the best arms in college baseball. And man, what a performance it was from Carolina, giving them a bunch of positive momentum and confidence going into this weekend. I think that's what I take away from what I heard from Stuart Lake, is that this team couldn't ask to be in a much better position now that classes are over and the whole thing, with a chance to really make some noise here in the last 4 games of the regular season headed to the postseason.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's not like I don't know what we expected to hear from him. I don't think anyone expected him to say basically we reinvented the wheel this week and changed everything about our approaches at the plate, and that's why we had this big offensive explosion. I don't know if that's what people wanted to hear either, but it was kind of out of the ordinary what we saw this week. I don't think we've seen a 3-game explosion like this since probably back against Lake Missouri. I don't think they've put up runs like this since then. But yeah, that was another thing. We really never think about the fact that these guys are going to class all day too. On top of that, and final exams, cramming for all that stuff in the middle of some of the biggest series of the year for you, like that's a very difficult thing to do. So now that, you can focus on fully baseball, coinciding with the fact that you just had maybe your best series of the year, I think everything's trending in the right direction, and that's something to really that's one thing to actually take away from what Stewart said.
Bill, to me, the interesting part's going to be, all right, you did it against Kentucky. You did it on the road against Kentucky. You did it in a way that Carolina baseball hadn't done since 2002. So you have all that going. All right, how's that going to translate to tomorrow? Do you keep your focus against Appalachian State? And then Tennessee was right there with the number 1 team in the country this weekend for the top spot in the SEC. They lost yesterday by 1 run. It was a heated deal with their head coach, a former assistant of the other opposing team's head coach. So there was a lot of familiarity there. South Carolina baseball beats Tennessee baseball. They just do. They always have. This year, Tennessee's program seems to be maybe the best it's ever been. How does South Carolina now respond this weekend at home with everything in front of them? Like we've mentioned, that to me is going to be the interesting part of it.
Well, I listening to Coach Lake and what he said is kind of you're glossing over, but we can do that. I said that earlier. You asked him about how Tennessee's pitchers compare to Kentucky's. He said, "Well, I hadn't even looked at them. We got to take it one game at a time." He gave you those great coach speak lines about one game at a time, and Appalachian State first. And I agree with him on that. They do need it. You can't sweep Kentucky and then lose all the momentum by losing tomorrow night. And a matter of fact, you need to put up some runs tomorrow night. And then you face a Tennessee team that has become very good, does have good pitchers. And you just hope to build upon whatever it was, whether as Coach Lake was talking about, just getting back to the basics, hard ground balls, line drives, just trying to make contact. Just going back to the simple basics of maybe not trying to overpower the ball and knock it out of the ballpark and instead just getting a bat on the ball. It was a great weekend. Nobody should take anything away from them. Now you want to see, though, if that momentum carries through, and you have a great opportunity tomorrow night, and you have a great opportunity when you get a home series against, again, Tennessee, I think was number 4 going into the weekend. They dropped 2 or 3. I don't know how much they'll fall in the rankings this morning. Maybe 6 or 7 at most. Maybe 2, 6, or 7 at most. But obviously, it's an excellent opportunity. That's the good thing about the SEC. Man, you go and win that series. You look around. Maybe you put yourself right back in position to move ahead of Florida and be in that. I think the SEC gets 6 spots for regional host. 6. I think South Carolina is number 7 right now on the outside looking in, but I think that could change very quickly. And I don't know how much the committee is going to value what you do in the SEC tournament. I think we would all agree this weekend against Tennessee, or this week, throw Appalachian State in, the 4 games that you play tomorrow, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, are more important than anything you'll do at that SEC tournament.
So you're thinking 2 in the state of Tennessee with Tennessee and Vanderbilt, 2 in the state of Mississippi with Mississippi State and Ole Miss. You also have Arkansas, and then you're thinking it's either Florida or South Carolina for that 6th spot. 7 out of the 20 announced were SEC schools. Other conferences, the most they got were 3. How the NCAA. To me, it's about how much pressure the Gamecocks going to put on the committee in this situation. You win the series against Tennessee, you're still in the conversation. You sweep it, I think you put a ton of pressure on the committee to put you as a host site. If you don't win it, I think you give the NCAA tournament committee kind of an easy out and say, well, you didn't just win your last series, and the overall numbers maybe not as good as the RPI.
Well, if you sweep, let's just go through those scenarios you just laid out. If you sweep, you're 18-12 in conference play, and given the schedule they've played, I don't know how you don't host.
Agreed.
I would have zero clue how you if they sweep. I have zero clue. 18-12, given the schedule, you'd be at, and let's say they win Tuesday night, they'd be at 35-18. I don't know how you don't. There would be no explanation given by anybody that would justify. That's a long shot though. Let's say you win the series in this conference, 17-13 is pretty good. Again, Appalachian State is when we talk about hosting, is a must-win tomorrow night. So that would give you 3 wins this week, 34-19. Again, to me, Tim, you've got Arkansas, Mississippi State, Tennessee, and Vanderbilt. Those are your 4 locks to host, absolute locks. I think Mississippi and Florida, as we sit here today, are ahead of the Gamecocks when it comes to hosting. If what I'm guessing is going to be correct, where there's going to be 6 SEC teams. South Carolina swept Florida, Mississippi swept South Carolina. I think that's where you're looking at it. Florida sits at 17-10. Ole Miss is 16-11. South Carolina's 15-12. You're all kind of bunched right in there together. I think as you go into the weekend, you need a little bit of help here from who those teams play. And I was trying to go back. I think you said Florida's playing. I want to say you said Arkansas, I believe, or
Arkansas.
Yeah. So Florida's obviously got a very tall task, or South Carolina's got a very tall task as well. But Mississippi this weekend. They will get, here as I yank up the schedule, they'll get Georgia. Mississippi's got the easiest one. At least they do have to go to Georgia. But Mississippi's got the easiest path here this weekend. Obviously, again, Florida and Arkansas, I'm looking just on Friday night. Friday, it'll be the late game on the SEC network. Number 9, Florida. Number 1, Arkansas. And then South Carolina, obviously, in Tennessee. So that's just how I see it as we sit here today. Winning the series, sweeping Kentucky, though, I think makes you feel very good about getting into the NCAA tournament, which I'm not sure you felt that way a week ago, coming off of the series loss to Mississippi State.
Yeah, I'm sure that you didn't. And I'm also sure right now we need to take a quick break. You're listening to the early game here on 107.5 The Game. This is me here, Bill.
Do what?
This one's me here, I believe.
Yep, you're right. I was just going back and check. I got the 8 o'clock hour.
And talking about timing right now and performing under pressure, the whole thing as it pertains to baseball. But man, you could just say the exact same things when you're talking about the housing market right now. I know for sure with personal experience trying to make a move at this point. I also know that I couldn't ask for a better partner or a better lender when you're talking about Buford Lending. Check them out. If you haven't already, I totally recommend you give Benji Getzi and the team down at Buford Lending a call. I've worked with other lenders before, never worked with a team quite like Buford Lending. 843-524-2404. A couple of times here in the last week. You have to make that call. I'm needing something right away. The housing market's really hot, trying to make a move, put in a bid, the whole thing. Benji's right there when I call him and gives me exactly what I need when I need it. The numbers he has shown me as well, absolutely outstanding. That's why the housing market, it's one of the reasons why the housing market is so hot right now. And if you're thinking about refinancing, if you're a veteran, the VA loans available out there, the experience that Buford Lending specifically being a mile from Paris Island has with working with veterans, unmatched, 25 years experience, Buford Lending and Benji Getzi, the team that can get you the best deal right now in an amazing market. Again, give Buford Lending a call. Check them out, 843-524-2404. Lighting's looking good today. Camera's strong, sir.
It dropped out a couple times at the beginning. There's no rhyme or reason to it. It doesn't appear.
That's the frustrating part, right? It's one thing when something's not working.
Yeah, if it made sense, I'd be okay. But now that the sun's out, the lighting's always good now.
You guys will get to have real fun. I'm going to dip out here in a couple of minutes. Charity golf thing to go do. I'm interested to hear what you guys get into.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if Bill has anything planned.
That's when it's the most fun. No liners or anything to knock out, so you're pretty wide open.
Okay.
Bill, any questions of me before I jet here in a minute or two?
No, we're good. We're good. It'll be one quick hour. One speedy hour, and then we'll be done. We will all get back together tomorrow morning.
Thanks for handling it. Appreciate it.
No problem. Where's the big round at today?
I've set myself up for failure because I actually hit it good the other day at Fort Jackson playing with Jeffcoat.
Oh, did you?
Yep. Sorry, Jim, what's that?
We'll be basically going into the end hour bed. So
Right. Will we have the full minute or no?
Yeah, about 45 seconds.
Gotcha.
Try
No,
to
I
shorten as much as I could.
hit and then so I know now playing a week later, it's going to be a struggle.
It's gonna be rough. Are you up? You playing up there today?
Yeah.
I guess, right?
What a weekend it was for Gamecock baseball, sweeping at Kentucky for the first time since 2002. What a couple hours it's gone by quickly this morning. Enjoying wins right now, Bill. That's where Gamecock fans are. Can they do it is my question. Can Gamecock fans enjoy wins right now and enjoy where the baseball team is with one series left in the regular season?
Yeah, you got to enjoy it. You got to take it for what it's worth. That doesn't mean you have to feel the same way next Monday when we reconvene to talk about the Tennessee series. But I'd tell you to enjoy it each and every second of the day. A sweep is a sweep. Doesn't matter who you play.
You guys will enjoy hour number 3 without me. Headed off to play a little charity golf tournament. Parent has left the room. The substitute teachers and watch out. Mayhem.
NFL talk.
Uh-oh. Lacrosse coming up now. All right, guys, hit me up if you need something.
All right, hit them well. Other than that, I think we're good. We'll try to bring the whole thing down in the 1 hour you're gone.
Sorry to bail on you, live streamers. Thanks for your help this morning. See you guys in the morning.
All right.
And it'll be all music if they get too stupid. So.
No.
What a girl. Good luck, Jen. Good luck.
Yeah, we got Aaron Rodgers, Deshaun Watson talk to let Patrick get into.
No, there's actually more entertaining NFL discussions.
Uh-oh. Take that.
Yeah.
Calvin Benjamin's a tight end now.
Oh, yeah, that too. Yes, I did see that.
And Travis Etienne's apparently a wide receiver.
All right, well, we'll get it. A lot of NFL discussion.
And basically, since we do not have the CBS Sports Minute, I just made sure there's enough spots to kind of still give you the same amount of time.
Okay.
Because the skimmer was down this morning, so I couldn't pull that. Not that that really means that much to you, but when it affects your clock, it might.
All right. All righty.
Stuart Lake interview is up on the podcast page if you're revisiting that.
Okay. We will mention that. I think. I always say I'll do something and then never remember to do it.
You're armed with the knowledge.
I am
However you
armed with
choose
the
to
knowledge.
use it.
Jen, we'll cut.
I don't think we have to.
Well, I got an email. You're not included. I need to cut a new AAA spot. Looks like he just did us. And then, yeah, we don't need anything for sleep number. We're good.
Okay.
He just sent the script for live copy for Tuesday through Thursday. But tomorrow morning, we'll just freshen up the old. We might see if I can get you to. I can't remember what I'm doing for Corley Pool. If it's 60 or 30 is the. I might
30.
A 30.
That's what's coming up. So I'm wondering if that's. I think that's what we have in the system.
Okay, maybe I'll cut. So maybe I'll cut 2 new 30s, one for Corley Pool and one for whatchamacallit. Yeah.
Okay, so that's tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll do that tomorrow. No need to.
Okay, I'll make a note so we don't forget.
Just some fresh spots.
That we can do.
All right, Patrick, you got a whole bunch of NFL information you want to get to, huh?
No, you brought up the NFL.
Okay, so we're not going to talk any NFL then.
We don't have to. I didn't bring up the NFL though. We can talk about whatever. I hope you're kidding. I've never actually spent any amount of time talking about lacrosse. We joke about it, but believe it or not, I actually do understand the market that I've lived in for 6 years now, and I know that people will be pissed if I start talking about lacrosse. Hurricanes get it going tonight, though.
Do they?
Yep, it spreads. Your Tampa Bay Lightning are going to be a problem as well.
I'm looking at this anonymous texter, the second one, and just reading all his text. That's
his last text was just a boring show.
Yeah.
I hope I wasn't in that day. That afternoon.
No, it doesn't look like it. Looks like that was
it was in the noon hour.
Yeah.
I'm saying I hope I wasn't involved in that noon hour.
No, that was the Friday you and I did the He Show.
Oh, okay. Oh yeah, it was. So it's nice I can just go look on my time card to see what shows I actually did.
Yeah. 21st in Baseball America, Hope. Thank you.
It's better. Moving on up.
I tell you what, I'm not really awake this morning. I hadn't popped in the second gear.
I'm not awake at all because I didn't sleep last night.
Oh, good Lord.
I didn't realize Tim was leaving. I was ready to just coast through this thing and let you guys do all the talking.
We can get through this fine. Well,
speak for yourself. I haven't slept.
Okay.
I'm chugging coffee right now when I realized Tim was leaving.
Shoot, for some reason, Jen and I got into a text message conversation at 10 p.m. last night.
He was looking for some sage advice from me.
That's what I was looking for. Yeah. That's exactly. Yeah. I'm still looking for that sage advice. I feel like I'm the one giving the advice right now.
Mm-hmm.
I just spent 2 a.m. to 4 a.m. cooking. I just made a ton of food for this week.
Oh, so you're like the little meal prepper, aren't you? Cute.
Yeah.
That's good. This is the last spot.
Is it?
Before we go back in.
You spent 2 a.m. to 4 a.m. cooking?
Pretty much, yeah.
Why?
Meal
Make,
prepping.
like, the little boxes, the little bento boxes.
Yeah, but 2 a.m. to 4, if he'd have said he was working, I'd have been like, oh, well, I understand why you didn't sleep. But it sounds like he was at his house.
I wasn't my house. I couldn't sleep because working overnight has my sleeping schedule.
Oh, really? Yeah, okay.
That'll do it.
I couldn't tell you the last time I slept for 8 hours consecutive.
I got you. Okay.
Yeah. I get it.
Ooh, Bitcoin dove today. Bitcoin's down to 45.
Buy the dip.
It's a buy day. Yeah, got to buy.
Buy the dip.
Please get this song just on a loop. We will play it at like 10 and 20 and 30 minutes after the hour. How about that? Hit the show, huh? I sat differently today, so I was not staring right at the computer scene on sat. It's I wasn't looking at the time. Now, here's Tim Hill and Bill Gunter. Takes a village to raise Bill.
Hello. All right, guys, up.
Good news. We have one more hour. Show's not ending just yet. Tim Hill stepping away, taking an hour off. His day has come to a conclusion. Patrick, myself, again, we're going to get you through one more hour here on a Monday morning. Hope you're doing well. Up and Adam. I heard Jen give the weather report earlier as I was taking the kids to school. Sounds like it's going to be another beautiful day. It's actually kind of looking at the weather. Looks like it's going to be here in the Midlands a beautiful week overall. And Jen and Patrick, it's going to be capped off. It looks like, again, this thing, Tim always gets so angry when I look down the road at the forecast, but we're looking like we're heading toward the 90s. Looks like we're heading toward the 90s here. Sunday is projected to be in the low 90s. 92 is your high next Sunday. So it looks like we're heading.
My Apple weather app says on Monday and Tuesday the high is 97 of next week.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
97. We're there already.
Spring is past. It's no longer spring. It's we spent, of course, what last Tuesday was, or was it Wednesday? Last Wednesday, I think it was 57, 55, and now 2 weeks later,
it was in the 40s overnight last week.
Right. Yep.
And it's going to be 97. It can be 48 and 97, 45 and 97 in the span of 2 weeks.
Is that what you love about moving down here the most? The fact that your morning you can be wrapped in a parka, and by 3 o'clock you have to basically be in a tank top? I mean, that's what we all love, right?
Well, I actually don't hate it. I mean, it's like you can just go outside in a sweatshirt in the morning and take the sweatshirt off when you go outside in the afternoon. I don't hate that at all. But yeah, I mean, it's not as we have like 4 distinct seasons in Maryland. Like once it gets warm, it just like stays warm, and then once you hit fall, like it's only going to get colder, and then once you hit winter, it's only going to get colder. Like when it's changing. In South Carolina, we have fake spring all the time, and like you'll get 1 week where it's in the 70s, then it'll just drop back down to 40s, and then bang, it's just 90, 97 before you know it. So it's pretty unpredictable, but I'm not happy at all about the 90s. I hate the 90s.
Yeah, Patrick, as we all know, not an outside guy to begin with, and now the weather really changing on him, much like the Gamecocks kind of changed things up this past weekend. Hit the ball, Patrick, putting up, I think Tim said 32 runs in 3 games. You and I have done a couple shows. We filled in for Heath last week and did multiple shows together. And one of the things that you and I kind of kept bringing up was that, hey, you play this many games, you get to this point in the season, you kind of are what you are. You know, you're not really going to all of a sudden throw a curveball in there and change things up. Well, they kind of did do that. Now, let's be honest, Kentucky's pitching staff, not the same caliber of a pitching staff South Carolina's faced over the course of the last 3 weeks, Arkansas, Mississippi, and Mississippi State. But to take advantage of them the way they did, that is kind of what we led off with today, the big sweep. And, yeah, look, it's Kentucky. It's not one of the top 5 teams that South Carolina's played over the last 3 weeks, but you can't sit here and complain about putting up 32 runs in 3 games. You can't complain about sweeping the series. And in my opinion, Patrick, the conversation we had on Heath Klein's show last Monday after the Mississippi State series was, man, I don't know if this team's going to make the postseason now. They're becoming in a bit of a precarious situation. I think after this past weekend, you go, okay, postseason is now, you're comfortable with that. I'm not sure where you stand with hosting a regional.
Well, yeah, you can pencil them in now. I mean, I think last week we expected them. It was going to be, I think going into the series, you were saying, well, if maybe they only get 1 game out of the next 6, maybe they won't make it. And if they somehow get 5 or 6, then they have a chance to host. But I think they're comfortably in. You can go ahead and lock them in now, kind of regardless of what happens when Tennessee comes to town this weekend. But, yeah, I mean, it was a really promising weekend. You said in the last hour, like, oh, you just need wins, whether it's 2-1 or 10-0. Like, you just need wins. But this weekend gives you just so much more to feel confident about going forward. Like, I don't know how good everybody would feel if you won by like a 3 or 4 run differential throughout the series, or like won a couple games where you only scored 2 runs, or strand a bunch of runners like you did last week, going 0 for 9 with runners in scoring position. I mean, 34 hits this weekend, 32 runs, only 4 home runs, so 23 runs, I think, if I'm doing the math right, playing, I guess, small ball or whatever you want to call it. That's not been what South Carolina has been traditionally this season. Like we say, you know what you are by this point, but this was unlike anything we've seen all season. I mean, you really routed Missouri earlier in the year, but they are terrible. And I think they were hitting still relying on the long ball in that series. So, I mean, this was just awesome. Everything you wanted. And then I think the headliner is probably going to be Brett Carey. If you take away one thing from the weekend, it's Brett Carey just being absolutely lights out, full game, no hitter with his first start of the year with 10 strikeouts, doesn't walk a single batter, just a ridiculous performance from him. So you're going to feel really good about him. I don't know when they'll throw him against Tennessee, but he's, of course, going to get another start now. He's earned it. But I still think the thing that gives you the most confidence going forward is how well they hit the ball, and scoring in 15 of 27 innings. Pretty much anyone who threw more than 1 inning for Kentucky this weekend gave up a run. So it was complete and utter domination from both sides of the plate, and you got to be really happy about that.
For those of you wondering, D1Baseball.com has now put out their top 25 after this past weekend. Arkansas remains at number 1. Texas has moved up to number 2. Vanderbilt is number 3, dropping a spot. And this week's opponent, Tennessee, is holding firm after a 2-2 week at number 4. Texas Tech rounds out your top 5. Florida is at number 9. Mississippi State went 1-2 last week. They dropped from number 3 to 10th. Mississippi, another team the Gamecocks have faced, is now at 13th. They moved up 5 spots from number 18. South Carolina up to number 21, up 4 spots from number 25. So Gamecocks moving up just a tad there. The other one that you kind of keep an eye on is the RPI. According to WarrenNolan.com, South Carolina checking in at number 11 currently in the RPI. Arkansas, Fairfield, who, by the way, is 32-1 in baseball this year, just in case you were wondering about that. 32-1. Fairfield is number 2 in the country in terms of the Warren Nolan RPI. Texas 3, Vanderbilt 4, TCU is your top 5. The Gamecocks check in at number 11. This weekend's opponent, Tennessee, is number 9. So just a couple baseball notes there for you. Hope on the live stream filling us in. I believe she said Baseball America, which is another poll, has the Gamecocks also in at number 21, I believe, is what she is, up to number 21 in the Baseball America poll as well. So you got that. If you want to weigh in on this past weekend's baseball series, 803-404-6100, how you can do so on that way. You can also hit us up via Twitter at Will, W-I-L, Gunter, G-U-N-T-E-R. He's at _Patrick Perret. She's at Jen Jensen Morse is how you can do that. And, of course, we've always got the Cool Care Heating and Air text line, 803-404-6100. A little bit of NFL news from the weekend, Patrick. We were kind of talking about it off air. A couple just small things. Rookie mini camp getting underway for Jacksonville. I don't know what you're exactly going to get with Trevor Lawrence at rookie mini camp, but what you are getting, the story you kind of brought up, Travis Etienne. I never thought Travis Etienne was Percy Harvin-esque. Like Percy Harvin, I remember watching him at Florida, the speed, the way Urban Meyer used him. Urban Meyer this weekend talking about Travis Etienne and how they want to use him. Patrick, you were talking about it. They're going to line him up everywhere. Hybrid players, what they're labeling him at. Wide receiver, they're going to put him in the slot, running back. I don't know if I ever saw that from Travis Etienne at Clemson. How do you see that role playing out for him with his skill set and what you think Urban Meyer wants to do with him in Jacksonville?
Yeah, I don't think that's what he is at all. And I mean, he came back to school, which was wild to me in the first place because he would have been a first-round pick 2 years ago. But he came back to school, and the biggest thing he did was add to his repertoire as a receiver. Like, he was awesome as a receiver this year. I don't know how many balls he caught, but if you look at like where he was lined up, I mean, he wasn't consistently lining up on the outside and beating defensive backs, which is, I mean, you compare him to the other hybrid players in his offense. I mean, Percy Harvin played wide receiver in the NFL and wasn't just a running back in college. Curtis Samuel is a wide receiver in the NFL, played running back in college, but played a lot of wide receiver. I just definitely didn't see Travis Etienne as that player. I mean, maybe they'll let him fail his way down to running back, like start him as a wide receiver and fail his way down. But I mean, I guess it makes you understand the pick a little bit more, because when you have James Robinson, who was a 1,000-yard rusher, one of only, I think, 6 in the NFL last year, as an undrafted rookie, it just didn't make any sense to draft a running back in the first round when you have so many other needs on the roster. So if they really do have some creative plan for him to be this just like gadgety player that's going to touch the ball a bunch of times, then okay. But starting him as a wide receiver when he really hasn't shown any glimpse that he's a wide receiver type, like I think he seems to be a pretty pure type of running back to me. He's just got ridiculous jet. Like, just because he's fast doesn't mean he can play wide receiver. But Urban Meyer is a creative dude, I guess, and we'll see if it works out. But I mean, I didn't like the pick, and if that's what he was really going for, there's other guys that you could have gotten for much greater value. I would have rather seen like Kenneth Gainwell from Memphis. Like, Memphis pumps those guys out every single year, but more power to him. If you wanted to just pair up Travis Etienne with Trevor Lawrence, the whole story of Urban Meyer's draft was just big school guys. The only guy they drafted that wasn't from a Power 5, elite Power 5 school was a kid from UCF, I think, that transferred from the University of Florida. So it just fit what he wanted to do in his first draft. They were all like 4 or 5-star high school recruits and went to big schools. So more power to him, but I didn't like the pick, and I don't think it makes a lot of sense. But he's smarter than me, so we'll see if he proves me wrong.
Cool Care Heating and Air text line, Patrick, not our Patrick, another Patrick weighs in. He says, I don't think Etienne is Harvin, more that he could be what Marshall Faulk was for the Rams. And that's possible. I mean, Travis Etienne came back. I'm with you. I see him catching passes out of the backfield, lining up in the slot, lining up at wide receiver, and actually running the routes and being that kind of hybrid player. Again, it's what makes Jacksonville such a fascinating franchise with what Urban Meyer wants to do. What he's got now at quarterback with Trevor Lawrence and how they're going to go about reshaping that organization with Trevor Lawrence being the face of the Jaguars now moving forward, and Urban Meyer certainly being the coach. Other news from the NFL this weekend. This was kind of fascinating. You brought it up a little bit on the live stream, and I'd forgotten about it. Kelvin Benjamin's back. Do you know how old Kelvin Benjamin is, Patrick? Are you like I feel like Kelvin
he was in the 2015 national championship, I think. 2014 is when they won. He was drafted the same year as Jameis, I think. So that would be, 6-7 years ago. He would be maybe 21 or 22. I'd say he's probably 28 or 29.
30. 30 is the answer that you're going for there. Kelvin Benjamin, former Carolina Panther Kelvin Benjamin, who had a really good rookie season for them and then kind of seemed to drop off after that. He spent time with the Panthers, obviously was traded to Buffalo. Even got a little bit of run. I didn't remember this. Got a little bit of run with the Kansas City Chiefs. He was the 28th overall pick in the 2014 draft by New York Giants general manager Dave Gettleman, who at the time obviously was with the Panthers. Kelvin Benjamin signing a 1-year contract to play tight end, not wide receiver, tight end. Now, the article I read, Patrick, I haven't seen how big he is physically now. Like, I would imagine he hasn't played in the NFL since 2018. That is, according to the article I read, the last time that he was in the NFL was in 2018. Tried out for the Giants over the weekend. They signed him and Corey Clement to a 1-year contract. But Kelvin Benjamin, probably the bigger name because he was a former Panther and somebody that early on there was a big target for Cam Newton.
Yeah, well, I mean, there are some – if you just Google, like, Kelvin Benjamin – there's going to be some really bad pictures of him. Like, the most famous, like, showing up the training camp out of shape picture of all time is Eddie Lacy with just a gut on him. But there's some unflattering pictures of Kelvin Benjamin walking into Panthers camp. Just clearly did not work out the summer before. So I don't know what there was talk about it a long time ago that it was like Kelvin Benjamin absolutely cannot separate from anybody. He's so slow, cannot move at all. But maybe he's not strong enough to be a tight end, or maybe he's not committed enough to put the work in and become a blocker. But 3 years out of the league, maybe he's running low on money and realized, like, hey, I only have so much time to be a professional athlete. Like, I need to actually work hard. So hopefully he had like a moment of realization that, like, hey, I was clearly lazy when I had my golden opportunity. I'm trying to look up right now how much money he made in the NFL, but I mean, he probably expected to make like $50 million and just continuously get huge contracts because he was a first-round pick, I think. Number 28 overall. He made a grand total in his career of $7 million, it looks like. So he definitely thought he was going to be richer than that, but was just known to be not a very hard worker, and that's why he bounced around after the Panthers let him go to Buffalo and Kansas City before finally getting cut. I mean, you see it every once in a while, guys coming out of the clouds and revitalizing their career. But to be honest, I would rather take a chance on 6'5" Kelvin Benjamin than I would 6'1", 33-year-old Tim Tebow, who's never played the position at all. So I think it's definitely a shot worth taking. He was 245 pounds is when you Google Kelvin Benjamin on Wikipedia. If those 245 pounds have converted now to muscle, then it's worth a shot. But that's just not – they're literally just Google Kelvin Benjamin and you'll see why it didn't work out the first time.
One other thing, this came out, this kind of happening after our show on Friday, but it is now the most interesting situation in the NFL. What's going to happen with Aaron Rodgers? Matt LaFleur, the head coach, is it LaFleur? But the head coach of the Green Bay Packers, and I feel bad for him, Patrick. I don't know how you feel for Matt LaFleur, because it feels like he's caught in the middle. This is not like there was a situation, 2 years ago, I believe, where it was Mike McCarthy and Aaron Rodgers, and that was like the separation.
Like 4 years ago.
Okay, I just remember the article coming out with Matt McCarthy and all that, and basically the blame and what they were saying about each other. I remember where we were doing the show when the article came out. That's why I think it's like 2 years ago. But anyway, the point being is that was a head coach quarterback situation. I don't know if you agree with me on this. It doesn't feel like a head coach quarterback disconnect. It's a front office quarterback disconnect. And I feel like the relationship between the head coach and Aaron Rodgers, perfectly fine. It's just Aaron Rodgers doesn't want anything to do with Green Bay anymore. And I feel like poor Matt LaFleur is caught in the middle of the situation. He said on Friday at their mini camp, he desperately wants him back. He said, I've got nothing new to update. We still obviously feel the same way. We want him back in the worst way. I know he knows that and will continue to work at it each and every day. But Patrick, I think now as this starts to stretch on, what are we? We're now 3 weeks past the NFL draft. I think it'll be 3 weeks on Thursday night. It's hard to envision Aaron Rodgers, who I think is about as stubborn and as hard-headed. I like Aaron Rodgers. This is not a knock on Aaron Rodgers. But I think he's about as stubborn and as hard-headed as there is a player in the NFL. He has plenty of money. He's kind of a weird background kind of guy. Just when he's done with you, he's done with you. And it feels like he's done with the Packers.
Yeah, to the beginning point, it is definitely a player front office deal because Matt LaFleur also last year wanted to trade for Will Fuller and was kind of overruled by the general manager. So I know he's not happy about that. Their relationship got off to a kind of rocky start because he comes from the Shanahan scheme, which is like a zone running scheme, and it's a running game heavy offense, and Aaron Rodgers didn't really think he was going to be able to air it out like he wanted to, but they definitely figured it out last year. And the only drama I think that there was between them was him, LaFleur, deciding to kick the field goal instead of going for it on 4th and goal and giving Aaron Rodgers a chance to actually win the game versus just basically surrendering to Tom Brady and the Buccaneers to win that game in the NFC Championship. But yeah, I mean, Aaron Rodgers, I'm totally on his side in this one. Like, yeah, you can say he's signed the contract, make him play. Like, if that's your stance on all these issues, that's fine. But when you look around all of professional sports and see the guy, everybody seems to just complain, not get what they want, demand a trade, and then they're moved like a week later. Aaron Rodgers has far more reason to be upset than almost anyone that's done that in the last couple of years. It's more of a basketball thing, but it's happening in football now too. So I agree with you. I don't think it seems likely at this point that he's going to return to Green Bay, but there are all these weird quotes like from John Kuhn, the fullback that is still part of the Packers organization in some form, was talking to media last week saying, no, I think this thing's fixable. And he said that he's talked to Aaron Rodgers. So I don't know why Rodgers isn't talking. It really doesn't help anything and kind of just letting people soil his image. But I really think he should probably just step up to the plate, do a little interview, say something, like put it out there. I said the same thing about Deshaun Watson before he got into legal trouble, but just go out on the media and just say things. Don't just leak stuff to sources and have your friends go out there and control the narrative for you. Like, just be honest and tell people what they want to hear. If you're unhappy, tell everyone that you're unhappy. I mean, I feel like you owe that to the fans.
We'll see how it plays out. Again, it is very interesting. We'll see who or what kind of transpires with Aaron Rodgers. Plenty of time, obviously, only the middle of May, and so you feel like they've got about 2.5 months to get to August before they got to make a decision. But you imagine the Packers are going to do everything within their power to keep him. We'll roll on a few more topics. NBA has concluded their regular season. NHL playoffs are underway, and we'll get more into Gamecock baseball as well. You're listening to the early game on 107.5 The Game. Oh, just driving around out there. Plenty of houses on the market right now, but you got to try and find a good deal. That's the key. Finding the good deal, getting the great interest rate. That's why you need a mortgage guru. Those interest rates right now still in a great spot. It's a golden opportunity. I know, again, trying to find that perfect house, find that perfect deal is tough. I've got that. But what you want to do is try and get it. And you want to go ahead and find out what you're pre-approved for. Jacob Crowder, the mortgage guru, certainly is that guy. 803-719-1005. That's how you can do that. You can give him a shout this morning. Start the process. See what you're approved for. So many people out there looking. Jacob had to add a little bit of help. Brian Kovar coming onto the guru team to help out. Don't miss the golden opportunity that is in front of you with low interest rates. 803-719-1005. You can email them, the letter J, Crowder, CROWDER at firstpalmetto.com. Jacob, Brian, helping save people $200, $300, $400 a month. The great folks at First Palmetto Bank, they're working with Jacob. They'll make sure you get the interest rate you're looking for. 803-719-1005 is the mortgage guru, Jacob Crowder with First Palmetto Bank. Whee. There you go. See, I got you through 30 more minutes. We got to work to keep Patrick awake here. He's struggling. What was on the menu? What'd you fix from 2 to 4 this morning?
I made a bunch of spaghetti. Like, I have probably 10 pounds of spaghetti. It's way too much. I chopped up a couple sausages, like kielbasas. Got those nice and torched. I have some ground beef left for tacos, but I have a lot of ingredients for tacos, so I made a little bit more beef and some chicken. So I have actually more than a week's worth of food. I'm gonna have to throw some of it out, unfortunately.
Yeah, I've actually got a piece of trout in the freezer. I've got an uncooked, like a hamburger patty, and got let's see, I got a hamburger, and then I grilled steak last night for the kids. We had 3 steaks, and the 3 of us only ate 2 of them. They were good-sized steaks, so I've got a cooked steak in there. That's 3 nights worth of food. I've got turkey meat, but I think I need to throw that out. I've had it in there for over 10 days. I think that's probably time to be tossed. So, oh, that's right. We got the PGA this week. I might need to mention that. Craig, Tim went to go play golf. I think he was heading down to Kiowa to play in the PGA. He has practice round today. So, but yeah, Tim went to go play golf. He'll be back in the morning. He left us in charge. And thank you, Alan. But I still think I lost a point to Kerry. So I think I'm 3 points behind Kerry in our pick'em. I thought Chase Elliott was going to pull it out, though. But yeah, we do.
I don't like this Michael Texter at all. First of all, he called me an idiot and then apologized for it, but he still called me an idiot. And then he said, I hate that crybaby Rodgers. Let him work on the assembly line with me for one day. I mean, yeah, I get it. let him work overnight manual labor before the radio show every day with me too. But that doesn't mean he's wrong. It's because he makes a lot of money because he's better at football than everybody else. You can't frame everything in the sense of you're complaining, try working manual labor. Like, that argument just doesn't work. So many people make it too, every single day.
Oh. Gotta get you a nap. You're going down the J and Heath.
No, I'm not, because I'm not doing it on the air.
Oh, you should hear him. I think Tim said Jay's going to be out the week we're at SEC Media Day.
Yeah. That's he said Pearson's going with you.
I need to see if I can get Tim to go in and get us 2 separate rooms, just because.
You and Pearson can share a bunk bed or something.
Just see if we can. I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind my own room. I got to make sure Tim does that so we end up at the right hotel.
We really don't need. I don't know how many people do we need there.
I think you like to have. Well, how many do you need there?
You just want to be able to have all your shows live from there, at least in some respect.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's it. You know, I think the difference is Jay has a lot of connections and being able to go around and get interviews.
If it's Pearson's first time, he'll probably be a go-getter, though.
Huh?
So if it's Pearson's first trip, he'll probably be a go-getter, and he'll probably hook up a lot of interviews.
Yep. Go around and talk to people. Doing the morning show there is just weird, though, because I'm done at like 8. I'm done at 8 a.m. their time.
Yeah.
And you're just like, all right. I mean, you go listen to
at that time.
Yeah, Alan, right now the plan is for us to go in person to SEC Media Day. That's the plan. They haven't put out any specific guidelines, like, in terms of how many people they'll allow there. But yeah, that's the plan, is for us to go. I think it's like the 3rd week in July. I think it's 1 week past what it normally is. I think the 24th through the 30th. It's something like it's right before the 24th, whatever the 24th is. I can't remember if the 24th is a Monday or not.
Isn't Beamer day 1?
Have they put out a schedule? I don't think they put out a schedule yet.
No, I'm pretty sure
Media days?
Yeah.
July 19th is the first day. You're not going to be here for my birthday. Are you serious?
It is a birthday present unlike any other. You are right. They put it out. I don't know. Oh, they put it out back on April 29th. No wonder.
Yeah,
that was back around draft day, 18 days ago. No wonder I completely missed it. I was too invested in the draft.
Beamer's day 1. So there's definitely no reason for you to stick around until the 22nd.
Yeah, the July 21st, I wouldn't mind that. I might see if Sam Pittman, Brian Harsin, and Eli Drinkowitz on that last day.
Yeah, nobody needs to stay for that.
I might talk to. Remind me to talk to Tim about that tomorrow. That'd be Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Come back Wednesday. That'd be good.
Head back in.
All right.
Come and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile. Download the TuneIn app so you can take 107.5 The Game with you wherever you go. And now, back to the early game, for better or worse, with Tim and Bill.
Okay, guys are up.
803-404-6100. That's how you can join us this morning if you like to weigh in South Carolina baseball, sweeping Kentucky over the weekend. Obviously, something that they needed to do. Now we'll wait tomorrow night, Appalachian State at Founders Park, and this coming weekend, Tennessee comes to town. Big series over there. I'm sure tickets are still available. You can check that out and maybe head there. Senior weekend for a lot of players as well. So big week of baseball. NBA, wrapping up last night, Patrick, or yesterday, I guess, Steph Curry winning the scoring title. I don't know. I like what Steph Curry did. Because he had to do it without much help this year. Obviously, he has Andrew Wiggins. Draymond Green is kind of who he is. It is what it is. He's not a guy who's going to go out and give you 20 points each and every night. Klay Thompson was injured. James Wiseman got injured. But real quick, where do you put Steph Curry's year on the list of years that you've just watched in your lifetime and what he was able to do, especially really, what is it, the last 45 days? Is that fair? Last 50 days?
Yeah, I mean, the last like quarter or third of the season for him was ridiculous. I don't know. I mean, he hit 400 3-pointers, the only person to ever go over 400 3-pointers in a year, and winning the unanimous MVP will for sure go down as his best season and one of the best seasons ever. But it's hard to say that anything he's done before this year has been more impressive than that. 337 3-pointers is the third most he's ever had, and the season was shortened by 10 games. So, I mean, he was probably going to get over 350, up into like approaching 10 more games. If he just hit 5 more, he would have been approaching 400 threes again. So, I mean, it was an outrageous season without Klay to take any pressure off of him. So that is what everybody wants to see. The 7-8 game, and for anyone who doesn't know, the 7 and 8 seeds have to play a 1-game play-in game to get the 7 seed, and then the loser of that game has to play the winner of the 9 and 10 game to try and get the 8 seed. So the Lakers and Warriors tomorrow night or Wednesday night at 10 o'clock are going to play a 1-game play-in game. That's going to be awesome television. I wish I could watch it, but I'll be working. But Steph versus LeBron in a 1-game playoff. LeBron's been complaining about this for weeks, so he's going to go in there moping, and Steph's just going to light it up. I absolutely would love to watch that game. The Wizards Celtics, not as fun, but Warriors Lakers, I wish it wasn't at 10 p.m. and everyone could watch it, but they just do not care about the East Coast viewers, I guess.
Yeah, let's repeat what Patrick said. I get it, not a lot of y'all. This is where, look, I like the NBA, the regular season, 82 games. It's a lot. I get it. It's kind of like Major League Baseball. I follow it from time to time on its own. I'll watch it, but I don't completely get invested until it's playoff time. But if you haven't really paid attention, the NBA has changed up their playoff format. There will be, as Patrick just said, a 1-game play for 4 teams, the 7, 8, 9, and 10 seeds. So 4 teams in each conference. In the Western Conference, you've got the 7 and the 8 seed, the Lakers versus Golden State. And as Patrick just said, the winner of that game, because they're the 7 and 8 seed, the winner will be the 7 seed and face. And again, if you haven't followed the NBA, and again, I like the NBA, but what I'm about to say even caught me off guard over the weekend. The winner of that game will play the 2 seed Phoenix Suns. The Phoenix Suns have stunk for years and picked up a lot of really good draft picks, and now are the number 2 seed in the West. So you've got a 1-game play-in, not a best of 3, not a best of 5, not a best of 7, a 1-game play-in. It'll be the Lakers and the Warriors tomorrow night. The winner instantly goes into the playoffs, the actual playoffs that we're all accustomed to, whether you've watched it or not for the last, 40 years. They're instantly in as a 7. The loser of that game will have to play another play-in game against the winner of the 9-10 seed. In this situation out west, it's Memphis versus the San Antonio Spurs. So then the winner of that would become the 8 seed and play the number 1 seed Utah Jazz. It's an interesting format.
It's not just the winner of that. If the 9 or 10 seed has to beat the 8 seed twice, the 8 seed just has to win 1.
Okay, I'm looking at the way the bracket it is drawn up in front of me. But yeah, it's a.
So Charlotte's a part of this in the Eastern Conference. If there's any Charlotte Hornets fans, the Hornets are playing the Pacers, and the winner of that game will play the loser of the Celtics Wizards play-in game tomorrow night. And then if the Hornets win, which I'm guessing is probably Wednesday night, then they'll have to beat either the Wizards or the Celtics twice, and then they can make the playoffs. They have to beat them twice in a row without losing.
So the NBA playoffs again getting on. Yeah, it's slightly, but it's interesting, and because of what you just said, the Lakers and the Warriors and everything that's going on, it is a little bit more intriguing. I'm with you, But Patrick, again, I don't know if I will make it tomorrow night till 10 o'clock to watch the Lakers and the Warriors, but we are hitting NBA playoff time and something that that you can get really excited about. One other just interesting NBA storyline. If you go to ESPN.com, there's a big article on it, NBA offseason.
I'll let you.
The Pelicans are now 2 years into Zion Williamson. And Zion is now becoming like he's going to be really good. He's going to be a force in this league. He already is becoming that guy. But Patrick, you're heading into year 3. You've got 2 more years. We got 3 more years next year, and then 2 years after that with Zion. They didn't make the top 10 seeds in the West this year, so they missed the playoffs. They're heading into year number 3. What exactly does the Pelicans do here to try and put a team around Zion Williamson or run the risk of losing him? They missed the playoffs. They were 31-41. Technically, they were a game out behind, or they were 2 games behind San Antonio, but a spot behind San Antonio for that 10 seed. But this is turning into me one of those situations. You got to start to put a team around him and start to make the playoffs with Zion. Otherwise, you run the risk of losing him here in 2 to 3 years.
Yeah, well, I think I probably have to look up the average ages, but they have to be one of the 3 to 5 youngest teams in the NBA. You've also had Zion for 2 years, and they've been the worst years to kind of grow into an NBA player. He's still a kid. His teammates are still kids. It's not rare for a guy, not that Zion is worried about this. He's already basically a superstar, and he's going to be a superstar. But the guys around him were like, there were a lot of projects surrounding him. So I'm Pelicans fans, and a lot of people, because they want to see Zion playing in the playoffs, are getting impatient with the Pelicans because they're just not good and you don't get to see them as much as you want to. But there's still so many guys that were drafted to be projects. Like, they just got Kyra Lewis last year from Alabama. He was a one and doneer. What's his face? Nickeil Alexander, something from Virginia Tech a couple years ago. Like, they're a young team. They have time, but also they have all these young assets. It might just be time to go all in and make a big time trade or push for a superstar. The problem is the NBA, if you're not Miami, New York, LA, you're going to have a hard time attracting free agents. Like, that's what everybody wants to do now. They want to go to the beaches and the big cities. So they just wait for their contract to get up, and then they go sign a big contract, a max deal in Miami, New York, or LA. So a market like New Orleans, which I think is attractive, and I think a lot of people listening right now probably think it's attractive. It's a very fun city. There's a lot to do, great people, but the fan base is not awesome. The Smoothie King Center, if it's even still named the Smoothie King Center, is empty on a nightly basis. And yeah, that's just not where people want to go. So to build in the NBA in a market like that, you have to hold on to your superstar, and you have to hope that they can attract other people around them. Like, the Milwaukee Bucks had to throw a max contract at Chris Middleton just to get him to stay in Milwaukee, because why would he want to stay in Milwaukee if it wasn't for the money? No one else probably would have paid him as much as Milwaukee did. So that's just what you have to do. Like, they have to figure out how to maybe draft another superstar to pair with him, or hope that the aura of Zion is enough to attract a superstar to say, screw the Lakers, I don't need to go to the Knicks, let me go to the Pelicans and play with Zion. It's not hard to do, and the NBA is turning into just a massive market league, and that's the only teams that are going to have a chance, and they'll just continuously rebuild. If you're not one of those, you have to build through the draft, and you can't afford to miss picks. So the Pelicans could just be in limbo for a long time under the Zion Williamson era, and it could be really depressing to watch. He could just be buried there until he becomes until his next rookie extension, because he's going to sign the max extension. Whenever that ends, he'll probably be like 26 or 27, and he might decide to leave if they can't do anything by that time. But yeah, it's not a great position to be in if you're not a massive market in the NBA.
803-404-6100. Let's get out to the Love Chevy phone lines. Bobby has waited patiently with a little bit of NBA playoff talk. How you doing this morning, Bobby, and what's on your mind?
Morning, Bobby.
Yes, you're up.
And that is Gamecock shortstop George Khalil. And that is because this system is very similar to what they use in a lot of Australian sports called the Page-McIntyre playoff system. The 7 and the 8 are like the 1 and 2 seeds, and the 9 and 10 are the 3 and 4 seeds. What happens is the 1 and 2, the winner goes straight to the final. The 3 and 4 winner plays the loser of the 1 and 2 games. So this system is a very Australian system of how they determine the 7 and 8 seeds this year.
Yeah.
All right, there's that. So
Okay.
answers that. So
The Page playoff system used primarily in softball and curling at the championship level. It says.
all right. Well, thank you for the
You
phone
can
call.
learn
Bob.
something new every day.
Learn something new
Yeah,
every day. That's
never heard of
exactly
that.
right. I wasn't sure we were going with George Khalil at the beginning, but he was able to tie that all in very nicely, and we were able to get that figured out. 803-404-6100. We're always up for your phone calls or text messages if you're able to weigh in and enlighten us, which sometimes is not all that hard to do.
I mean, I just legitimately learned something though. Can't say
You
that
did?
for most callers.
That was, yeah. How about that? Thank you for the phone call. Thank you for the phone call, Bobby. Very good. And hopefully you learned something as well. Hope you're having a good Monday morning. Bill Gunner, Patrick Perrett, Jen Jensen. Tim Hill has taken the last hour off. He big weekend needed an hour off, but he'll be back tomorrow morning. You're listening to the early game on 107.5 The Game.
The home of the Gamecocks and new head football coach, Shane Beamer.
I'm a process-driven person, and we're going to get started day one, advancing this program and making it better.
107.5 The Game.
I know it's cliche, but it's the truth.
Welcome, Coach.
Oh, you heard me talk. Well, you heard Patrick and I talking about it just a little while ago. The heat is coming. 90 degrees probably next week. Is your air conditioner ready to handle that? It better be. It better be now. If not, you better find out quickly. Give Roy and Dana a call with AAA Heating and Air, 803-677-1500. Get them to have someone come to your house and inspect your air conditioning unit. During the winter, I would say heating unit. But right now, you definitely want the air conditioner portion to be functioning properly. You don't want to get into this 90-degree weather and then find out, got an issue with the air conditioner. Get it done today. Call AAA Heating and Air. Family-run business. They're going to treat you like a family member. They have taken care of me. Billy came out to my house, inspected the air conditioner unit. Again, they inspected the heating unit as well, but I'm not going to need the heat portion working right now. I need the air conditioner unit. You know what? If something's wrong, this is where AAA Heating and Air separates themselves from the competition. They'll give you a $1,500 buyback on your existing unit if something's wrong. Then no money down and 0% financing on a brand new unit. That's taking care of you. That's the great folks at AAA Heating and Air. I trust Roy and Dana with my air conditioner. Again, air conditioner, key word here because of what's about to come. I can trust them with something I really don't know about. I believe what their people tell me. It's a family-run business. They're going to treat me like family. They're going to do the same for you. 803-677-1500. Don't wait till it's 100 degrees and 100% humidity. Call them today. Get someone out there. Make sure that heating and air unit is working properly. 803-677-1500. Give AAA Heating and Air a call. Tell them you heard it from Bill Gunner.
Sponsored by Wendy's Breakfast.
Start your day right at Wendy's. Get a classic sausage, egg, and cheese or a classic bacon, egg, and cheese breakfast.
Was I supposed to do?
All-season breakfast potatoes for just $3.
I was supposed to do sleep number, not AAA.
Yep.
Josh, there's a bunch of emails coming in, so I just assumed it was.
No, I put in the list earlier. I should have reminded you. We'll just do it at the end.
I wanted to hear you try and transition that from AAA into sleep number and see if you could have done it on the fly.
I was kind of listening, yeah.
And you're going to want your house to be nice and cool when you're sleeping on your sleep number.
Exactly.
Well, all right. Yeah, Josh and Tammy, they were all in these games. So I don't know why. And I had the script right in front of me. I was like, oh, that's what I'll go with. That'll work.
You were just feeling so comfortable in your place, that temperature-wise, that just made you think of Triple
This
H.
is why I never host this. When I host Heath's show, I don't have to worry about reading spots and everything. I can just do the show.
Yep.
So good for them. The old 2-for-1. That's right, Mark.
Right.
All right, great. Now I got to go back and look and see what my Friday, Monday, 14, 17, day 17. All right.
All day.
All day, yes. It's crazy that we're past the middle point of May.
Yep.
I mean, it's just flying by. 2 weeks from today. I mean, is that right? 2 weeks from today is Memorial Day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'll be on my way back from Indy.
How many people are they going to have in the stands?
They're going like kind of half capacity. I think last I heard was like 147,000, 149.
Wow. So over the weekend, I thought maybe just again small health kick that I would buy sugar-free coffee creamer. It's disgusting. I started going back to the gym. I think I said this last week. They opened up the sauna, the steam room and the dry sauna, and I've been going to Move Fitness and sitting in there. But yeah, so I was like, oh, I'll go sugar-free creamer. That'll
15 seconds.
All right.
Five pound, yep.
Was a fantastic weekend. Had the kids. We went out on the boat. We did all kinds of fun things. And then I was going to need a great night of sleep, especially to wake up ready to handle the Monday morning show. And I'm probably going to need a great night of sleep again to handle the Tuesday morning show because it was such a fun weekend. With a Sleep Number bed, that's exactly what I get. I'm telling you what, I made the switch about 3 years ago to Sleep Number and haven't regretted it a bit. A great night of sleep is vital to your everyday health and well-being. And with a Sleep Number bed, that's exactly what you'll get. I can promise you that. I put the Sleep Number setting on 45, wake up rested, refreshed, ready to go. You can do the same. Don't miss the weekend special. Save $1,000 on the new Sleep Number 360 Special Edition Smart Bed Plus special financing when you add a base. Subject to credit approval, minimum monthly payments required. See sleepnumber.com for details. There's also exclusive offers available from military members. Now, 2 stores to go and check out these great deals here in the Midlands. One in Irmo, Harbison Boulevard, across from Buffalo Wild Wings. The other in Columbia, 2 Notch Road, across from Sand Hills Mall. You can always check them out on the web, sleepnumber.com. This deal ends today, so you need to visit the web or go visit a store. And again, you can save $1,000 on the new Sleep Number 360 Special Edition Smart Bed, special financing when you add a base. And again, that's subject to credit approval. Minimum monthly payments required. See sleepnumber.com for details. Find out for yourself just how great a night of sleep on a Sleep Number bed can be. Make the switch to Sleep Number and find out for yourself how great they truly are.
From the Shepherd's Glass Traffic Center, Shepherd's Glass, a true reflection of quality, shepherdsglass.com. Atlas Road at Shop Road, a report of an accident.
3,000, Craig. I think it's 3,000 and 3,300, whatever it is. 3,000, 3,300 is your capacity.
Slow, but they kind of stop and go from Shop Road, but they are moving now. Again, that's I-77 northbound. Stop and go from mile marker 6 to Fort Jackson Boulevard. And 2 lanes are closed. Stop and go traffic to right lanes from the Peak exit up to or down to the Valentine exit. So allow for some extra time passing through there. Weather-wise, going to be nice today. Looking for a high of 85. Right now, it is 64 at 107.5 The Game.
The continues with Jim Hill and Bill Gunter on 107.5 The Game.
All right, you guys are up.
Wrapping up a Monday morning. Again, hope you have a great rest of the day. Dan Patrick is up next, and then we're back live and local here beginning at noon. Pearson and Preston, and you got Jay and Pearson. Tommy Moody, I'm sure we'll be excited to talk about this past weekend's big sweep for the Gamecocks in baseball. Final week of the regular season, Patrick.
He was excited about the Capitals, too. He texted me at 10:30 on Saturday night saying, how about this Capitals?
How about that? Capitals, that's right. You got playoff hockey this week. It's going to be a good week of sports. We get into it more as we go through the week. PGA Championship this week down at Kiowa. If you're going, hopefully you'll have a good time. I think there's practice badges that are available. I haven't looked. I didn't look to see what the attendance will be for Kiowa this coming weekend for the PGA Championship. But it's, Patrick, I don't know if you've ever been there. It is a fun little event down there. I went the last time that the PGA Championship was down there.
Before the show ends, are you jumping on the Hurricanes bandwagon? You have to decide before the show ends because they start tonight.
I'll go with them because my buddy Andy down in Tampa, he's an obnoxious Tampa fan, and if they win, it's really hard to deal with. I do like Tampa Bay. My son has a jersey. We've got some apparel that he sends up from time to time. He's just obnoxious with it. He's from Charleston. He moved to Tampa for business and stuff, and has joined in on the winners. He became a Bucks fan sometime around January randomly, but he's got season tickets to Tampa, to the Lightning. And he's just obnoxious about it. And so the only other team that I can take is the Hurricanes because I have been to Hurricanes games at PNC Arena. So yeah, I'll hop on the bandwagon.
They're the number one seed.
They're the
Tampa's
one seed.
really good. Tampa just yesterday got Nikita Kucherov, who's one of the best players in all of hockey, back for the first time this year. Played his first game all season and scored 2 goals in his first 12 minutes on the ice. It was ridiculous. The Lightning are really good, but the Hurricanes are the 1 seed. They're really good. They're fast. They're really good on the forecheck. They have some of the best specialty units in the league. If you like hockey, watch the Hurricanes play. They're really fun.
It's playoff hockey season. Time to go. We'll talk more about it tomorrow. Hope you have a great rest of the afternoon. For Patrick Pratt, Jen Jensen, I'm Bill Gunner. It's been the early game on 107.5 The Game.
Sorry about that. I was editing audio and lost track of time.
That's all right. We're good. We're all good. Nice, easy out there.
There.
All right.
Beautiful.
All right, Patrick, go get some sleep.
All right.
Exactly.
So, and
We
Jen,
won't come knock on your door.
I will see y'all in the morning. We'll bring Tim back and let him talk for an hour.
Sounds like a plan.
Everybody else, thank you. Was it driving? No, the boat actually, once I learned it, it was actually pretty easy this weekend. Docking was the big thing, and I handled that very well. A couple scuffs. I'm going to have to get some compound out and get out there and
Because
take
it's a
some of the.
pontoon, right?
Huh?
Pontoon?
No, I got that deck boat.
Oh, okay.
But trying to get in, pontoon, you can just kind of cruise right on into the slip. This one, it handles a lot. It's more responsive. And so if you go in, you turn the wheel just a little bit. Plus where I'm at, the boat slip I got's on the far end, thankfully. But still coming in, there's a tad bit of an angle. And so I've hit the little rubber part a few times. And so I've got a few little white streaks that we've added to the red of the boat.
There you go. That's just for character.
That's right. It signals that it's my boat. So if I have one too many drinks and I'm walking back, I can be like, oh, it's that one right there with that. Yeah. I recognize that.
Up.
Yeah. All right, everybody. We're out for the day. Y'all have a good day. I'm going to end the broadcast now, and we're all going to have a meeting, and then we're all going to bed and take a nap. Everybody have a good. There we go. Well.